Welcome back, everybody. It's time. We got the Phobies sweatshirt on. It's time. It's time for Fright Night number 4. Now, you may not be seeing a whole lot going on that screen because there's a whole lot going on behind the scene. But we will be kicking off the big event shortly in just under 5 minutes, at least as I'm saying this. Now, I am, of course, a content affiliate, so shout out to the dev team, shout out to the Phobies team for providing me with the resources and the coffee and all that fun stuff, and sometimes some swag for putting on these events, for putting out this content. But really, thank you to the players, because this is the thing. It's a community event. It's for fun. Yes, there are prizes on the line. There's, in fact, coffee on the line for our competitors. First and second place are going to be taking home some coffee in each of the 3 events that are going to be happening over the course of today. Now, how is this going to be structured? Well, there is a map ban system. There are no phobie bans. We will have best of 3 matches, but the brackets are single elimination. So it's all on the line in every single match. The players are going to play their way through until we have a winner. And as mentioned, there are going to be 3 events. Today, we're, of course, going to be starting off naturally with number 1. So we're going to see whose games we can jump into as soon as they are prepared. The players are squaring away all the different pieces of it, and then we'll go from there. So I hope everybody out there is having a good start to their Saturday, a good start to their weekend, or if you're already living in the future, far ahead. Phobies Eddie is good. It is good. I love it. It has little Phobie swag. The only thing I wish, a little smoke, whoop. There we go. Got to stretch out. Got to show them muscles. I don't have any muscles. The only, I'm not doing Vendy very proud. I do have my mug, but we only have decaf in the house right now. So only regular coffee. Or, excuse me, I wish I would have had some regular coffee. Only tea today. I don't know what I'm saying, mostly because I'm still tired. We were streaming last night. We're going to be streaming all day today. And, yeah, Phobies team, if you're watching this, where's the Vendy mug? Like, come on. Really? It would be funny if they ended up with Phobies brand coffee, too. But I don't know what you have to do that. Like clothing companies or mugs and stuff, like there's a ton of sites online, but I don't know what you have to do for like food or consumable things. The players are sending me their map bans. Live spectating makes the event so much better. I hope it is. We'll have to see, because this is going to be a new thing. This was recently added by the devs. It's the first opportunity I've had to showcase it in this sort of fashion. So I'm pretty excited about it. We'll have to see how it plays out. So the initial bracket, I should put that up. Switch here. So this is what we're looking at for bracket 1. So we have BT Smiley, DT Shadow Force. We'll probably take a look at that one. Searu versus Man in Yellow, and then Silver K versus Master Dark. So we'll have to see what we can get. It looks like BT and Master Dark have already, well, hopefully they didn't start an arena game or something. I did warn everybody not to do that. So we'll probably jump into the Shadow Force DT game. I imagine that's going to be one of the more exciting ones. Shadow Force and DT, both very strong players. You constantly see both of them knocking off top players or holding down positions high in the ladder themselves. So we'll have to see what happens. Will I jump from match to match? It's going to depend. It will basically hinge on, do we have an exciting series on our hands? Or do we want to spread it around? I'm just going to kind of do, how do I feel at the moment? I would like to showcase a variety of different games if we can, but we'll play it by ear kind of thing. All right, so got Silver K. We got, let's see, are they starting? Oh, this is just showing online. Yes, there is a stream delay. There is, in fact, a stream delay. So our first game, let's just jump into this BT game. I think we're going to start there because that is... Whoop, got another one. We got Silver K. Yeah, we'll start with the BT game. It's BT versus Smiley. So BT versus Smiley here. Let's see what we've got. Phobos! Oh, this is the one that everybody was saying, no one's going to pick this map. No one would dare pick Phobos. I should probably hide the brackets, so that way people can actually see the game. We're getting... This is about as standard can be, right, chat? Snowball plus Cat on turn 1 into Ginsting on turn 2. Obviously, we didn't see those turns, but I think it's a safe prediction given how this lineup has been. Into Gravedigger Snowball from player 2. This is the classic. Ooh, Hematic Ginsting. Now remember, all of these Phobies are at level 1. All of these Phobies are at level 1. So we are... This is as true to a real match as you can get. Excuse me, we can't force collection. Well, we can force the collection constraints, but it gets weird with Phobie bans. That's not in place. So this is, all the Phobies are level 1. You can't just out-level your opponent and crush them. But we do have the Hematic Ginsting and Ginsting team up here. We're burping flies left and right. We're stroking our hair. You know, just, looks like if I had bees inside me, then I'd look a little bit like Hematic Ginsting. Maybe in the summer if I get burnt. So we'll see how the players progress from here. These are also strong players. You typically see them. Like, you recognize the names. You're going to recognize a lot of names over the course of the day. And hopefully a lot of these will become household names from their performance today. But we'll see how this goes. Getting a lot of debate between the players. Now, given that BT only has 5 keys, I'm curious we'll see what they actually end up doing here. Yeah. Don't worry, chat. I got it covered. I see people reacting now to the fact that the brackets were still up. Yeah, that's the delay, but what are you going to do? As always with the delay, if you're commenting on something, you just recognize that there is a delay, in fact. All right, so we may jump into another game after this. Looks like the player getting pings from other players. We could, of course, jump mid-game to certain things, but I don't want to do that unless, you know, there's an exceptionally obvious scenario where they're getting into a stare down. I imagine a lot of players, especially, it's not Smiley's first event here on Fright Night. I don't know if Smiley or BT have been playing in, say, Dios's event or Jelly Belly's event or any of the other tournaments. Shout out to all the other content creators that have been putting on events. This is a rising tide raises all ships scenario. We all help each other sort of thing, as always. And I don't know if they are nervous. It's the first game of the day. It's the first game of the first match of the event sort of thing. Could be your first game of the first match of the first event and your first tournament. So those sort of nerves do play in where you're trying to, okay, I really got to think out my turns. And there could be a dozen people watching. Or when this makes it up on YouTube, a few hundred. By the way, YouTube, likes and subscribes. Shout out to all the viewers there. If you want to get involved in Fright Night yourself, check out the links in the description. Hit up the live stream. Hit up my Discord. I'm, of course, posting all this stuff to all the official Phobies channels, but help me out. Help me out. But yeah, Phobos is a strange pick here. I'm not sure why, given that we have... Because this is why I like the map system, the map ban system. You can build pocket strategies for certain maps. Say, okay, well, I know that most people don't like this map, Phobos. I know that if I do this, it's not a common strategy and I can catch somebody off guard. So I'm going to set up this particular thing. Right now, we're seeing fairly standard stuff. I mean, the spider as the answer. Our blue player is kind of bleeding our orange player a little bit with this 4-2 panic point advantage. But we'll see. Welcome, Big She. But yeah, I'm actually kind of excited that we zoned into a Phobos game because there was a lot of talk pre-tournament that people were not going to pick Phobos, that it was just not going to be a thing. Sorry, answering some stuff in Discord. Making sure that people are prepared, they're getting all the information they need, trying to juggle, you know, as always, many, many different things. I need as many legs as Henrietta. Just, I want to be bipedal. I don't want to be a rolling on the ground kind of thing. I want to stand up. Makes life a little bit easier. Master Dark, thank you. Much appreciated. Saw Black Hydra came in, probably about the time I was going to bed. So we're getting a fairly aggressive push from our blue player here. Not too aggressive. I mean, you get the 1 key here, but it is going to open up the center for a possible recap here. Notably, the spider is off of cooldown, but there's really nothing it can reach safely. These 3 mean that it's going to be difficult to actually try and push something if you take one of these center points. But I think it is possible for our orange player to kind of stage, because only the Hematic Jin Sting can get there onto the stim. The challenge, of course, is going to be that the Hevo can come in and just boop you away, pretty much regardless of where you are. You can only stage on this row. But we're getting a counterclaim here in the bottom, which makes sense. Taking these points would be kind of dangerous, but I almost want to see... So I think there are 2 schools of thoughts here. You have to be cognizant of the boop, so you can't be around these Abyss tiles. But there's an argument to try and claim this with either Gravedigger or the Snowball, depending on how the attacks go down. Claim this and then kind of crowd here, so that way they have... Your opponent has to decide, do I kill these things or do I slam into these? Because you're not going to be able to do both. You're not going to have enough damage to kill both sides of the pincer. Shadow Force and DT are Mysomania? Yes, they did. They were the ones who messaged me. I think Phobos makes sense when going first, but blah, yeah. I'm a little surprised that we saw it, but I'm anxious to see if BT can put together a comeback here. So we had a Gonzo, which I think is a good option, Gonzo, Scritch in general, but especially here when you're trying to stage something, you need to go in and do damage. You have to make it count. Now, with the way that BT is staged, I'm curious to see, will we see Smiley actually advance into it, try and take the initiative by seizing the panic point, or the stim right now? Because if you do not, you do leave yourself open to Spider walking up, yoink, and then collapsing on it with the Gonzo buff, with these coming in. And all of these can collapse onto Hematic Jin Sting. The trouble is going to be, will the Hevo get an appropriate counter boop to either just dump something into an Abyss? Probably not, just because of the angles. Like, it's going to push it here, or here where the Bachelor is. And we're looking at a 2k health Hevo, so this is 4, 750, 9,000, 14, and 4, 18. You can still kill this Hevo, because remember, you're also going to get a 300 buff from the stim. So yeah, our Smiley here, our blue player, is trying to rearrange to minimize any potential damage that's coming out. Now, here's the thing. It does now open up for BT to safely claim this bottom panic point and kind of reset the board. Both players are just trying to poke each other, prod, reposition to see who's going to step out of line first, and then just kind of collapse on that advantage. Because if you swing as Smiley too far to this northeast quadrant, okay, you're opening up these 4 panic points in the south. But instead, we're getting BT going in. It's happening! We get the yoink into the Bachelor kill. That's bold, because we might be trading Bachelor and Spider for Snowball. Yeah, I think we're thinking better of it. The base Gonzo buff is 300. So we're not looking at an enormous amount of damage, but remember, it's... everything else is level 1. Everything else is level 1. So it's a stim pad, is basically what it amounts to. Which is interesting to think about when you... This I like better. I like this better. I like this better. I like this play better. Sorry, I'm checking Discord real quick. People are... Oh boy, it is in... People are just struggling today. Alright, this is interesting. We do get the block. Like I said, I do like the block better. I think that makes more sense. The problem is there a way? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you could droney here. Okay, so you could droney and boop this Hevo into oblivion? Because you could droney block where this Hevo ended up and then boop, and I think it will end up in the Abyss. Alternatively, you can move this in, Jin Sting, then hit it. You could yoink the Hevo and probably just annihilate it because it'll end up in range for a double Jin Sting hit, and it would have been a double Hevo hit. I think I probably would go with that. Ah, Smiley's recognizing it. Smiley sees it. Just like that. Get booped. Boop. And then the spider yoink. Oh my god. May God have mercy, because Smiley will not. Oh, good lord. That play is brutal. Chat, is that the game? Chat, is that might be the ball game. I mean, our orange player does have 10 keys banked up, but that turn is crippling. That is a crippling turn. Now, something cool that BT could do would be to buff the Gravedigger. Chop. Well, the Gravedigger could have chopped this. Yeah, I would have buffed the Gravedigger, chop it, it pulls, end up on the stim, then hit. We get a boss follow-up. We had the boss Gonzo combo, but Gonzo was just expended. This feels... I'm getting a panic vibe from BT. And if BT shows up in chat, we'll have to ask. But I'm getting a panic vibe. The reason I say that is... Well, I take it back. You do get the kill on the spider, which is valuable. So maybe it was necessary, but it feels like you obviously want to get Gonzo and boss to sync up. Make a buddy cop movie and just start crapping on things, right? We get Yeti. Oh, nope, we don't. Never mind. Not Fire and Ice. It's not Sub-Zero versus Scorpion here, chat. We already got rid of all the get-over-heres by eliminating the spiders. We're going with a sheep. Smiley. You tricksy hobbitses. What is happening? Smiley can't decide. This is... Okay, now we're getting panic from the other side. Like, oh my god, there's a boss! There's a boss! What is happening? Quagmire. All right. We're going very middle of the road. Whoa. Now, this is a bold move, Cotton. That is a Clopster. Panic points are only just going to become even. No, excuse me. They're going the other way. They're going the other way. They were even, now a 4-2 panic point advantage. There is a significant amount of damage, 4,200 health remaining on the heart. It is possible that Smiley is lining up for a heart push, but that is absolutely going to put a dent in those plans. It's going to put a dent in their plans. That's a lot of damage going down, chat. That's a lot of damage going down. Now, granted, this is only a mere 200 damage, but that is a lot, because this kind of isolates this entire center. I mean, this Bachelor is just dead, so now it's 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chat, did BT do this? Did BT do this? That's a feels bad moment where you leave this alive 50 health. 50 health. And the problem is, if you vacate with this, that means that yeah, no matter what, you're losing something, because the boss is going to walk on the stim where the Cyclops is, and then the combination thereof is going to crap on whatever's remaining. All right, we're now targeting the boss. That's not going to... Well, actually, that will probably do it. Down goes the boss man. The big boss... No, big boss man's back. I'm not gonna lie, because of the delay, it's kind of funny watching people comment on, like, something from literally, like, 3 minutes ago. Clopster, Smiley's ace. I didn't know Smiley was known for their Clopster plays. We're trading Hematic Ginsting for Boss. We'll have to see what else gets taken down. This would be 800 plus another 3. Not enough to kill the Quagmire. It's getting much closer now that the boss is dead, but for both players, we're looking at some fairly healthy Phobies for the most part. They're not going to stay that way for much longer. But BT does need to claim some panic points, and I imagine that's exactly what this Cassowary is going to do. Maybe the creep slides up or something. How is this going to happen? How is this going to go down? I mean, this is so close at this point that while that one turn a few turns ago looked absolutely crippling, just baned the Batman kind of thing, just broke the back, but BT did like an 80s workout montage and suddenly came back bigger, stronger, faster, and is just suddenly, like, still hanging into this game. Like, this is incredible. Smiley's doing their best work to try and make sure that that doesn't happen. At this point, I don't know if this Cyclops goes down, the game has to be over then, right? I know I've said that before, but like, how does... Remember, Hevo's only doing 390 damage. The Hevo series doesn't do that much damage. It doesn't do that much damage. So we instead get the boop here, which I agree with. You want to minimize the incoming damage. Now, ultimately, this Clopster also doesn't put out... It actually puts out less than the Hevo. Lul. $3,400 health remaining on the heart. There's really no hard damage, although, oddly enough, the boop meant the panic point advantage goes the other way to our orange player. I don't think... I know I've been waffling back and forth, like, clearly this player wins now, but this has been a back-and-forth battle, and this looked really tight on different turns. I think there were plays that could have been made slightly... I mean, there's always plays that can be made differently, right? But with the way this is breaking down, this is actually pretty cool. This is a heads-up play because this is going to force a reposition from Smiley, because otherwise you get going... like, this actually will trade. It'll yoink the Hevo into the pit. But realistically... That's interesting. Okay, I was going to say, that must have been a misclick. There's no reason to hit this. So here's the thing about Phobos. When you jump out to this huge life total advantage, you can just use your life to your advantage. 5,400 health to 3,400. Yes, it's a 4-2 panic point advantage. It could be worse. But Smiley has some time to run around the board, pick off Phobies here and there, do whatever they need. Little bit of indecision here, but notably, and I think this is probably why they undid everything, is they had thought, oh, well, the creep might still be alive for the range spit, because then it could go onto the stim and possibly snipe something. But in fact, the range spit is not available for creep. No excruciating. That is just disgusting. It's really gross when you think about it. Like, it's gross. Shout out to the Phobies team, as always, because you love... They put a lot of love into it. Although, chat, I think I may have shrunk the sweatshirt. It's a little tight. It was an extra large, and this absolutely feels like slightly medium. So we get the reclaim here from From Quagmire, there has been a lot of damage going down, 3,800 to 34, which hasn't moved. Makes sense. The Hevo is all but out of it. Okay, this is kind of bold, because now the Spit is live, 250. Oh, that's not enough. It's not enough without the stim. I can't get him. 250 is in fact less than 280. For all of you aspiring mathematicians out there, keep that in mind, that 250 is less than 280. You learned it here first. Please, God, don't tell me that you learned it here first. Please do not tell me you learned it here first. But it doesn't matter, because guess what? In fact, 300 is higher than 280. It's more maths for you. And at this point, there's just no way for Smiley to win, right? You get the ye old heart rush. We don't need no fire. Let the heart burn. Yeah, there's just no way for, given the heal. Like, if this was still low enough and the Clinico didn't get to it, then, of course, the Quagmire could get in and eliminate this, then probably burn this down, and it would be a tight race, but it's possible. But at this stage, I think that's all she wrote. I think that's all she wrote. Oh, my God. Phobos. Second player winning? Oh, my God. Who would have seen that coming? We're zoning in here to the Master Dark versus Silver K game real quick. We are on one of the new maps, one of the newly changed maps that just came into rotation. Again, the vaults here were moved. Let's assess the board state here. We got a Smother Mother, an Octonauty, and an Attractor on Silver K's side versus Moffat and Attractor, but Panic Point advantage for our blue player. Smiley and BT is now on Xylo. All right. We're probably going to end up jumping around a little bit now that we went through a whole game and we're picking up where other people started. If anybody in chat can let me know, I would like to try to get into the Shadow Force DT game if anyone's watching it. Get a quick snipe here. All right. This is a very... Let's look at the health. Again, Debs, if you're watching this, health bars, love to get those permanent. Yeah, you can't go in here unless you can block this somehow, which I don't think there's any way. Wait. No. No, you can't. For a second, I was like, wait, just go in with the Octonauty, yoink the Spider, and then yoink it with the Attractor. But you can't because it's not close enough. It needed to be here. But the problem is if you're here, you're going to get yoink, yoink, pop. That being said, this is a... dimensional, so Chad, I'm sweating. I'm sweating between the sweatshirt and stuff. I really want to wear the sweatshirt, but I'm drinking my hot beverage in the morning, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt, and I'm excited. It's getting sweaty in here, chat. So what do we got? We get a pass from Silver K. Get a pass from Silver K. Oh, get more pings. I don't know why they sent me the identical thing over again. I assume that was... so the competitors are sending me the map bands so that way in map selection so that I can talk about it on stream. But some of them are... they made an error and just copy and pasted the same thing over again without updating it. So it's like, well, okay, that means nothing. As in, what's the new map that they picked? We are getting kind of a stalemate-y scenario here, chat. We're going to try and hop to a different game. All right, so let's jump into the BT game for now. Like I said, I do want to get to the DT Shadow Force game if we can to try and, rotate and get everybody on. Yeah, he didn't do it because it would just kill his Attractor and Smother Mother. Yeah, for the other trade, exactly. It would not have been safe. So this looks like we're nearing the end. Well, no, this is still relatively early. There's still 26 keys, 21 keys. But this is not a lot of Phobies on the board for, well, any map. And we get a Finnegan. Chat, there's a Finnegan. Even get the Droney plays into the Finnegan. That's 2 games in a row. Well, not in a row, but 2 games already this morning that we've seen the Droney into Boop play. Love to see it. You love to see it. We also have multi-boops on the side of Smiley here. So Smiley coming back with a vengeance. Although, I guess now that I'm saying this, both Droney boot plays came from Smiley. So I guess this is Smiley's signature move now. So what is BT's answer here? Down panic points. You're able to put some damage here. That probably makes sense. Just put some damage where you can, when you can. Droney's clearly going to... Does Droney just die? Droney just dies to the lava. Droney dies to lava naturally. You don't even have to do anything. So we get a Hevo. Sorry, just making some notes, chat. Making some notes real quick. Clearly, the Droney didn't need to be attacked, but I guess it doesn't matter. You know, like, who cares? This is interesting. I mean, clearly you're not going to be able to... I take it back. Clearly you can kill it. Shadow Force DT is now on Ergo. All right, let's take a look at their games since we haven't gotten them on yet. And see if we can catch the beginning of the game. All right, this is about as close to the beginning of the game as we can get. This is about as close to the beginning of the game as we can get. So, we do get Gravediggers. DT, as I've mentioned on many streams, is known for these Gravedigger openers. Shadow Force is, of course, matching it a little bit later. But we're getting another DT signature in Sucky. Another DT signature, so we'll have to see how this plays out for them. On this map, I haven't utilized Sucky too much myself, but getting it online early is important if you're going to utilize this particular route. The relevance here is that it's obviously slow, and you need it to impact the board quickly, because although it's fairly tanky, that's the whole point, it's still susceptible as the game progresses to just getting annihilated. That's all in the rules document, Krayos. That's all in the rules document. I posted screenshots of it in Discord as well, because a number of people were asking the same question. But yeah, all of that's explained in the rules doc. So Shadow Force, how are you answering this? Obviously, you claim this panic point for free, but the big question is, where are these going? And the follow-up is Bow Mangles, which makes sense. Getting Bow or Stabby online on this map, or any small map for that matter, means you can control an enormous amount of space. But if you don't slide the Unicorn up here, or position the Gravedigger aggressively, okay. Otherwise, this cat can come in and backclaim this point, and possibly even escape. But in this particular case, we do have this, and then the cat will just die, and the Cowbell can backfill. Getting fairly standard stuff. We still have these Gravediggers on cooldown. We're not seeing anything, you know, super aggressive. Notably, Shadow Force went for what I'm assuming was a later Gravedigger, it appears, given the positioning of the Unicorn and everything, which makes sense. You know, you're not getting an enormous advantage popping it that early going first. So I think it's logical to handle it the way Shadow Force does it. These minor things that you can pick up on when you're watching higher level players. Higher caliber, higher skill level players. Just checking pings real quick, chat. Yep, there we go. See, they figured it out themselves. I didn't have to do it. See, if people apply themselves, they can figure anything out, right? So we're getting, again, a very patient game. 4 Phobies to 4 Phobies. So here's where we typically are going to see players bank. You can see DT is already banked at 4. We'll see if Shadow Force elects to commit anything further to the board. I would expect no, but it is possible. Given the preservation of this cowbell, I'm going to assume no, because they want to keep this alive in order to contest the Razormouth, which sounds weird, but the whole point is that by burning these keys, if you waste the cowbell, then DT is an advantage. You're giving up your panic point advantage to DT, and then the tempo, because now you have to commit to reclaim panic points. Right now, the onus is on DT to do something, and here, this is going to be tough for DT to actually fight, truthfully. So we do get the reclaim here. This could possibly be 366, 720, 1120. So this is a dead Gravedigger, 2 hits from this and this, and probably a dead Sucky, and then a 6-key follow-up from Shadow Force. This is a very aggressive play from DT. This is a very aggressive play from DT, and we'll have to see how it goes. Hematic Ginsting. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It was either going to be this or Klepto, and Hematic Ginsting naturally has more single target damage, so therefore beat up the Sucky. We get the break from the Gravedigger, so instead of going for the Northern Gravedigger, the choice is to go for the Sucky. This kind of makes sense. Otherwise, the combination of this and possibly this could end up killing your Gravedigger, and then the Sucky's still on the board. But we have a 5-3 Phobie advantage, 3-0 panic point advantage the other way, and max Phobies for our blue player. Only 3 keys available for DT, which is really the big issue here. You're going to have to back off from the top, and you have to back off from here. Because the Stabby, while sturdy, is vulnerable. You can get 1, 2, 3 hits, and it only has 1,200 health. So we're looking at 4, 8, 11, 1180? That actually might live. 4, 820, 1120, 1180. If I'm counting that correctly. Which means this actually lives, which is a good reason to leave it alone. So you could, as DT, hold this somewhat safely. Your opponent has to commit into you. They're going to lose things on the return. So maybe that aggressive play was worth it. Because the Cowbell can reclaim a point. It frees up a slot when it inevitably dies for Shadow Force. So we could see a push plus bank. We get the push here. We get the push here, but the question is, how are you going to get this top panic point? This is why I think we might see a bank. It's possible that Shadow Force is going to commit. Well, they can't commit anything. Never mind. What am I saying? We're obviously going to get a bank. The question is whether they will then follow it up with a medium, large size Phobie, like a 5 or a 6, or try and stay closer to the ground, get another 1 key, reclaim a point for free, cheaply, and then try and lean into something even larger. So they have 9 keys remaining. You could go 1 key, 8 costs. You could go 1-1-7. You could go 7-2. You know, a variety of different combinations, clearly. We're going to get some, I don't want to say free, but some cheap shots going down on this Ginsting. And I think this is a great capitalized play by DT here. It is possible that the Stabby goes down, but that's going to necessitate a whole lot of effort from Shadow Force in order to kill it. You're going to need at least 2, and probably the Cowbell to finish. So it's probably going to be 3, and then the Cowbell finishes as the final hit. But this softens up the Hematic Ginsting. It's entirely possible that Shadow Force is instead going to retreat, but DT is making a cool play here by just waiting. Being patient. You have a panic point advantage. You're not letting your opponent reclaim this easily. They've obviously banked because they're locked. Soften up their forces, because otherwise you're going to eliminate this, they're going to reinforce, and then you're in even worse state than you were before. It's very easy to go, oh, well, you got to snatch up that Cowbell. Just take it where you can. Instead, the claim here is to beat up the Ginsting, which makes sense. You do get a little bees action going down. So that is enough. But this is a 435 health Ginsting. 425. This is actually pretty rough. This is pretty rough because this means the Innocuous is going to die, plus the Cassowary. And possibly the Gravedigger. Basically, you're going to have to commit very heavily if you are DT in order to get the Ginsting. Because you're going to need to slide the Innocuous here. And you do have a block available, though. So it's possible that you can slide, zap this, which is not enough to kill it, by the way. So no matter what, you're kind of in trouble. You're going to have to take wins from other things elsewhere. That's the only way to do it. 9 keys banked for Shadow Force. 7 available, well, 4, and then 7 total for DT. The problem here is I think that you're going to get, if you don't kill this Corn, DT's in a rough spot, no matter how you look at it, because you can't kill all of this stuff. You're clearly not getting all of it, and I don't think you can even get 2 of it. So you take this down, but the Corn could just kill this, and then the Ginsting comes in. What I think might have been worth it was actually overload them here, send in the Murder Wing and Meatball here, because then it's already in position and can more aggressively advance if you want it. Probably don't, but it's possible. And then, now the only risk here is that a double hit from the Corn means a dead Murder Wing, but they're not solo killing this with the Ginsting. So no matter what here, you're going to lose that. This is an interesting play, but it makes sense. Because you can just snipe it with Snowball. This might lock up the game. This might lock up the game. That is now a very healthy Ginsting. There was a lot of effort committed into it in order to try and take it down. Once again, max Phobies with 3 keys remaining to 7 keys, and not a whole lot else. Not a whole lot else. There is a lot of damage on Blue's Heart. I don't think it's enough to really make too much of a difference, but it is something. Now, bees will be back online, which means that honestly, we're probably going to see both of these die. This can advance here, this can advance here, this can go and punch this. And then the combination of these 3 attacks probably kills these 2. The follow-up from DT is plain old Ginsting and a Spud. It's not impossible for DT to take this, it's just going to be super challenging. It's just simply going to be super challenging. Because there's a lot of HP to chew through between these, and you have to do it basically in a turn, thanks to the presence of the Clinico. So Shadow Force is doing it a little bit differently, but ultimately probably better than what I was thinking. You get the Reclaim here, you get more damage spread. Now the Spud's like not even really in range. You can't kill this unless you commit both to it. And then the counterattacks, of course, kill you because Fireball is going to be online. This will get 2 hits, and this will get 2 hits. Oh, and by the way, there's a baby Snaky, too. Methinks this is the end here. So we do have one of our winners completed already. We do have one of the matches completed. And we'll see how many more, because we're going to have this one. I have not heard or seen Man in Yellow. I'll have to check Discord, see if they're posting the results there, see what's going on that side. This is so brutal. This thing survives by 50 health. We've now seen that in 2 different games where something survives just barely, and it's frustrating. We're going to get the snowball onto the stem. We're going to get the advancing bees. Regular bees, not more bees, but... Ball game. Well played. Well played, and GG. I think it ultimately came down to the initial aggression here. It just didn't quite turn out the way that it needed to for DT, but well played. GG. They're still playing. They're apparently still playing. And the boss and the Hevo have made it from the beginning of the game, but 0 keys to 0 keys. Wow, this looks like a challenge map. Tell me this doesn't look like a challenge map, chat. It's Boss and Gravedigger versus Hevo, slightly bigger Hevo, Octonauty, and a little Crabula action. Little Crab Nebula action. This is going to be weird because of this sectioning off of the map, but, I mean, does it really matter? Bonk. Get bonked. Down goes the Hevo. That's a pretty cool splashage. Splashage? Splashage. Whew. Making up words here on stream, and it's not working out. Making up words is hard. Get a little yoink action. Still on the lava. Ironically, Boss is not immune to fire. And down goes the big bad. Game Smiley. Came in right at the end there. GG. So we might have to wait a little bit for the next ones. Might have to wait a little bit for the next ones. In the meantime, get a little BT Smiley action again. A little BT Smiley action. We've been following this throughout multiple maps. We started on Phobos. We went to Xylo. We're going to finish up the series on Carousel. So what do we got here? What do we got here? This is an interesting opener. You could have just gone 2-drop, 1-drop on 1 as BT, but instead went 2-drop bank into 3-drop, 1-drop. At least I think that's what it was. I was kind of looking at admin stuff on the other side, out of the corner of my eye, which allows for Smiley to get a panic point capture here, but it's clearly going to go the other way pretty quickly. It would basically be invisible, Urk. I don't think it would be readable. That's the reason I didn't do that. I was going to put a command on it, so it would be like exclamation point bracket, but I didn't have time to set it up because there were a bunch of people having problems figuring stuff out. Shout out to all the players, but everybody please make sure you read the rules ahead of time, so I don't have to explain it. If I have to spend the whole time explaining things that I spent time writing stuff up, it just takes more time. I know, it's weird. I have to laugh about it because otherwise I will scream. I'm not actually upset. Believe me, this happened, like, it doesn't matter because this happens with every event. Anything you try and run, there's always going to be confusion. Somebody's going to miss one detail and, like, it completely throws them off. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It does add to overhead, especially because this is a one-person, one-man operation. That and time zones. Time zones are just understandably brutal. Time zones just brutalize people in such a comical way. So this is kind of aggressive by BT. How much? I think it does 220 jar, which means that a jar will not kill this. But this is a good play. Oh, BT. BT with the Gravedigger break into the snowball to take down the unicorn. That's rough, because I was thinking of all the different ways that Smiley would be able to swing this back and snipe both of these, but instead, we get it going the other way. Now, we might get the same sort of play out of Smiley here. We're not. We're in fact going to get the snipe. Now this is going, unless there's a body block, which I imagine there will be, this means that the cassowary can come in and just pick off this jar. Remember, cassowary jar, same level. Cassowary wins. Panic point advantage for our blue player. Only 3 keys remaining, but Smiley, you got to commit something. It's going to be creep. I don't hate the creep. I don't hate the creep here. It's tanky. Obviously, leap is down. Fireball is down. Any 3 of these as targets for creep you don't hate yourself about. You know, like it's respectable. I don't think there's any way for this Bachelor to die without, you know, like, it being super advantageous. The rules are in the pins, Krayos. They've also been posted in the channel, not only today, but several times in Fright Night 4. You're not in school, so I refuse to read now. That may not work out for you, general, real-world-wise. Yeah, time zones do make people's lives complicated. I can't really fault people for it. It's a pain in the neck, but, I mean, what are you going to do? So we get an aggressive Bachelor play here to make sure you take down the cassowary. I kind of like that. I like that because although it's aggressive positioning, otherwise you're leaving the cassowary up for retaliation. Here's the challenge. You are really aggressively positioned here, right? You're aggressively positioned, which means that those 6 keys that BT has banked is super dangerous. There's a lot of mean things that can come out of the vault right now and really wreak havoc with your day. Klepto happens to be one of them. Now, you can't get the jar, but you will get this creep. And then, of course, something kills this Bachelor, whatever it happens to be. 220. So the Bachelor can't kill the Bachelor on its own. It's going to need help from this. But the Bachelor will then die, so you trade Bachelors here. Unless you do it this way. That manages to keep the Fireball online. You still do trade the Bachelor. So now it's 3 Phobies to 2. Panic point advantage for our orange player. 7 keys, ready to go. What is their answer? Presumably, like, I would try and go 4-3, I think, or 5-2, something like that, rather than a big 7 play. But a big 7 here isn't bad either. This Stabby now covers both panic points. However, here's the thing. We could see an aggressive Gravedigger push to put a block here. If you don't put something in this spot, well, a Klepto will help. Klepto and Jar means that you can still snipe it, but the panic points are going to go the other way now. We'll have to see if BT chooses to actually go for that, but bringing it out in this fashion 6-1, so not quite what I was saying 4-3, 5-2, but 6-1 is still multiple bodies, and I think that's the real takeaway, is you want multiple bodies to be able to try and prevent your opponent from doing anything. Get more pings. Chad, I forgot to bring water down, and I'm out of tea. Yeah. Mouth's getting dry. No. It's gross. It's also filling silence as we're watching the players kind of have a staring match. Now, our blue player elected to not be aggressive. They're following up with Sucky, which does allow them to bank to 4. Those are all their remaining keys. 6 left for our orange player. This is looking good for Smiley. However, we also said it was looking good for Smiley on Phobos. And that went the wrong way for Smiley. BT pulled an incredible comeback. I like this play. You take the damage where you can, I guess. The problem is they were both healthy, so it's like they get a retaliation hit and you're not really changing the math that much. But we get the... Chat, we've seen more Suckies today than I think we've had in the last 2 months. But more Suckies today than we have in the last 2 months. We get the counter Sucky. That's a bold decision. So is this. So you could get a break here and then the snowball coming up to Fireball. We are. Wow. So that leaves a still living Klepto And we're only 100 damage off the fire here. And we get a Gonzo. This is the scenario where you wish you had that Gonzo on the table already. Because if that Gonzo was already on the table, that means that this the opposing Klepto is dead. But presumably Smiley's not going to stay. Nope, definitely not. We don't get a kill here yet, but Sucky will not only kill this, also reclaim the panic point, and it's going to require a fair amount of effort in order to kill this thing. I am not Anton because there's nobody in more than one event. So if there's any overlap, I'll just jump between games. I was honestly worried about the opposite happening, that the events would finish too fast and there'd be too much time in between. It's possible they overlap, but that's not a big deal. It's not like one event feeds into the other. It's single limb, so once people are done, they're done. By done, I mean they lose a best 2 of 3. I never noticed that this squeezes in the background, chat. I know we're not paying attention, but watch this. The little hand squeezes the little Phobie dude. So we got an aggressive Contortio move here. It did beat up this Gravedigger a bit, but it's not that big a deal. So we're getting a juiced Sucky. Getting some juiced Sucky action. Not quite a dead Stabby, though. Okay, now it's dead. Never mind. I thought this already attacked twice. But it does make sense to not have the Klepto take the extra damage. This displaces the Sucky into a very uncomfortable position. That sentence just sounds weird. The Sucky's in a weird position. So, our weird Sucky is pretty far forward. But we get a Clinico out of Smiley. We've seen some nail-in-the-coffin Clinicos already. We'll see if this is one in the same vein. Hakune, we've seen several Suckies today. So it's Gonzo Gravedigger, who's hanging on by a thread, versus Klepto, or Gonzo Gravedigger Klepto versus Sucky, Klepto, Clinico, and Jar. And a triple panic point advantage. This is... We saw BT put it together on Phobos, but this is a difficult position to make it happen. You got the Jar covering. You got a leapable Sucky, if that's a sentence that you can believe. You got a pretty damn healthy Klepto. It's just... There are zero buenos to be had here by BT. This is an interesting choice. This is just going to one-shot it and then walk away so that the Clinico can claim it, I think. Nope, we're going to go for the Klepto here. Is this a dead Klepto? No, this is not dead. Not quite dead. Not quite dead. Who's a good baby? Puppy came out. Even the puppy's out to watch some Fright Night action, chat. Even the puppy's out for some Fright Night action. Nope, she heard it. She heard me say baby, and now she's done. Now she's... Okay, she's just moved over so she can stare at me. You okay, baby? You're a good girl. She's a very good girl. So, yeah, not much really to say to this one. I don't know what else to add. This isn't... It's not even uphill at this point. You're climbing Everest at this point. How do you get out of this? Only 1,800 health on the heart. This Gonzo's gonna get beat up. This Gonzo's gonna get beat up. Get more pings in Discord. Still not a dead Klepto. That Klepto's hanging on by a thread, but like the fates of Greek mythology, snip, snip, down goes Klepto. End of the rope. Gonzo versus the world. Sorry, buddy. Not happening. Not happening. I think that Gonzo was a turn too late. But, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well played. Smiley takes it. GG. Hey, Dios. Much appreciated. And good luck to you as well. I know your event's been running. We were talking about it earlier on the last few streams. If you're not aware, Dios is running their own tournament. I'm sure signups are closed, but keep your eyes peeled for stuff in the future. I'm sure Dios has some more stuff up their sleeve. But shout out to Dios for coming by. Welcome. And we should be in business shortly. But that was definitely some very exciting initial games. So we have the bands. We have Master in Yellow versus Master Dark. Master Dark is going first. Master Dark banned Ergo and Pluto, whereas Man in Yellow banned the Once Lore and Xylo. They're playing on Mysomania first, so we'll see how it goes. Pull the brackets off for everybody. So we have Shadow Force here against Smiley. Gravedigger starts for both players. Gravedigger related starts. This makes sense. We were actually talking about this last night, and I did try it out myself. I wasn't super excited and enthusiastic about it going second. It's a little interesting that neither player elected to well, first player can go snowball to the center safely now because of the change here to the vaults. However, second player isn't as safe. If you go here, obviously with the Gravedigger already committed to the board, then Gravedigger plus a snowball or whatever probably means your puppy is taking an early dirt nap. So chat, good a time as any to remind everybody I am part of the content affiliate program as we're loading into the second round of bracket 1. That felt weird to say, but we have Shadow Force and Smiley here, both permanent residents at the top of the various ladders. So get your notebook, I can't talk, chat. I need that other cup of tea. I'm not working right today. It's not all up here. It's just not. We're not quite a well-oiled machine yet. Hopefully it doesn't deteriorate and instead improves over the course of the day. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Getting a little tongue-tied. We're streaming last night, so I'm a little tired. We persevere. In the meantime, getting a little Bachelor action. We're not getting Bachelor. We're not. Good God. Players are making this more difficult as time goes on. So we're getting a bank to 10. All right, Smiley. What is you doing? What is you doing? Because this is weird. I played against Smiley a fair amount. I haven't played as much against Shadow Force. And certainly I have not played against either player on this map. I don't think I've observed any of their games on this map, so I'm curious as to how they're going to play this out. This is going to be very interesting. Now, remember, as I mentioned earlier, this map was changed. I believe this was Miss Cha's map from the contest however many months ago at this stage. Shout out to Miss Cha. And, of course, all the other content creators. Dios was hanging out earlier talking about their tournament that's going on, and there are a number of other content creators like Jelly Belly running events and other people producing Phobies content, so again, shout out to them. But this was modified because originally you could not take the center panic point safely as the first player. The vault was closer to the stim, and that meant that you can just snipe this pretty quickly. So the bank to 10, okay, it's not going to yield a Hevo. Every time I try and get this sentence out, okay, it is good. This is why I waited. This is why I waited. Because I knew that... It's so silly. Okay, so we do in fact get a Hevo 2.0 and a Bachelor. The once lore and Phobos are so bad, well, we actually watched a Phobos game earlier and watched player 2 pull it back from the brink. It was crazy. If you don't have a tractor, you're screwed here, or some pullers. Akira is pretty good here. I feel like Akira's good on a lot of maps. So is a tractor, but yes, this is a very pull and push heavy map. Yoinks and boops will reign supreme. My game last night was won because I had a tractor and Heartbreaker. So, like, I think my opponent had Spider and that was it. I also outleveled my opponent by like 35 levels, so there were other factors. We'll put it that way. Shout out to my opponent. So we're getting a break here. Not a break here, which is interesting. I think that's a reaction to the attractor. There is value in breaking this so you get better sight lines as the orange player, but this does complicate, well, I don't know how much it actually matters. Because the attractor, if it's in one of these two spaces, will wrap around this. It could matter, but likely not. What is very interesting here is this Hevo that's going all the way to the north. Like, that's crazy. Maybe not crazy, but that's a pretty bold move. Do we briefly see an Octonauty that was not to be? I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting because Smiley was waffling so much on the Hevo. Yo, no, action. You've been naughty, says Octonauty. It's funny that its name is Octonauty. I get it. I understand why. But it's scolding the opposing Phobies. Like, no. Only I'm allowed to be naughty. Which is... I don't know why that's amusing to me, but it is. It makes me giggle inside. You can't hear it because it's inside. It's in here. It's right in here. Actually, it's probably lower. It's probably here. The anatomy of a giggle. An internal giggle. So, panic point advantage for Smiley here. Big smiles all around. For Smiley! I love that Smiley has multiple Y's in their name. I don't know why. It's the little things in life, chat. You really have to appreciate the little things like that. I am curious about this big thing, though. What is the positioning of this Hevo 2.0 going to lead to? Because this is odd to me. Now, something that, as I'm told... I am informed by many players that at the higher levels, you don't get one-key trading wars. Well, joke's on you. We're getting a pseudo one-key trading war here. We do get an aggressive spider invade, arguably, but this spider isn't really in danger, right? Yeah, I don't think Clinico is what you want here, right? You can get a Jar. Jar is going to guard this panic point. It won't kill the Hevo, but that's going to be an enormous amount of damage, and then combined with a Yoink. Paddles. I actually think Paddles is now... Can we safely say that Paddles is a signature Shadow Force phobie? I feel like Paddles is becoming that. I have seen more Paddles out of Shadow Force than I've seen out of any other player, I think. Admittedly, I don't watch every single person's games. Somebody out there is screaming and slamming their keyboard right now, or about to snap their phone in half. I use Paddles more! All right, buddy, calm down. Let's relax, first of all. Or you have a stroke. I haven't seen all the games. It is possible I missed it, or I'm forgetting. We get double pull. No, we don't get double pull. Smiley, the master of the undo, just got that itchy trigger finger on the undo button. I should just wait until Smiley's turn is over, because I don't think Smiley, in all the games we've watched so far, has committed to a single play on the first try. And is absolutely committed to plays like did it, undid it, did it, undid it, did it, undid it. It's actually comical now. So what do we got here? We're going to have a panic point advantage, still blue, because it was 4-1 briefly, thanks to the one in the middle. 7 keys banked for Shadow Force, only 1 going to be in the tank for Smiley because of this Innocuous. The Innocuous, I don't know that I like it here. I kind of feel that Smiley almost needs to get up on Shadow Force. The problem is that this isn't a typical game where, oh, they have a bunch of support phobies in the form of Moffat, Attractor, Paddles, things that aren't necessarily threatening from a damage perspective, because here you can't just bum rush their team. You're going to be exposed and you're going to get annihilated by the returning, not just returning attacks, but the returning yoinks. And it's going to end poorly. Getting a ping real quick. Thank you, Hakune, for, I know you guys aren't playing till Event 2, but getting stuff out of the way. It's inspiring how much they love paddles. Do you have paddles now, DT? I'm excited for paddles. I really am excited for paddles. Because this is a phobia that feels like you can just slam on the board level 1. You're not fighting with paddles. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, in this, everything's level 1. And which, by the way, if you want to join some of these Fright Night events, I'm hoping to get another one up and off the ground soon. Hit up the links in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And of course, while you're down there, likes and subscribes. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Got to get the shill points in when we can. So we're getting a Gonzo. This feels weird to me. This feels weird to me. Why does it feel weird? Well, you're going to one-shot, air quotes, a bunch of phobies due to the yoinks. At least you hope. Now, you can say, oh, well, Smiley's a strong player. They're not going to allow that to happen. Therefore, I want the Gonzo so I can actually, kill something. But we'll see how that works out. In the meantime, panic point advantage, like I said, 6,200 health to 7,600. Still a whole lot of time. Smiley is only down 1 panic point. You don't have to, well, panic. There's really no rush for a lot of this, so we're going to see how they respond. 6 keys to 8 keys. Clearly, both players have room on their team to add to their assets. Nobody's locked out, locked down, and prevented from doing anything. We'll see. We'll see. This recap feels like a safe play. Truthfully, you might have been able to just, like, why not just send the Octonaughty here? What can you paddles? Okay, so here's the play, and the reason you don't send the Octonaughty. And the Octonaughty goes here. They juice the Attractor, move it to where the Gravedigger is, pull, Octonaughty ends up here, Spider, yoink, dead Octonaughty. There you go. Sounds like he loves paddles as much as I love Sucky. I mean, we all love Sucky. You don't use paddles enough? I think paddles has a lot of potential, but it's absolutely one where I say this about a bunch of phobies, where I think I need to sit down and just actually map out, how do I want to use these phobies? How do I want to strategize different things? Uh-oh. Okay. Watching Shadow Force plays reminds me I want to use paddles more. That's fair. That's fair. I can absolutely understand why. I can absolutely understand why. If you're curious who I'm talking to, by the way, oh, baby. We'll talk about that in a second. If you're curious who I'm talking to, we're doing this live. There is a delay. There is a delay on the stream because we're watching the live games from Fright Night number 4. But there's a beauty now, chat. There's a beauty now. Yeah, believe it or not, I'm not doing commentary to my dog. Although if there was nobody in chat, I would do it to my dog anyway. Because she's a good baby. She's a very good baby. She's a very sleepy baby. Snoozling over on the floor over there. She just kind of does a rotation. There's a couch behind me. So she'll go on the couch. We have dog beds for her, but she'd rather sleep on the couch, which I guess I get it. But then she'll rather sleep on the floor. I'm like, I guess it's the difference between having something super duper cushiony. Although the dog beds are really cushiony. I don't know. It's weird. Gravedigger hits the wall, Spider pulls. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of ways. If you're talking about the other play, the other turn on why not cap it with Octonaughty, there's a lot of ways that Octonaughty could have died. There's a lot of ways it could have gone down. I only described one. So we're getting this big standoff. We do get one of the spiders, the littler spider, going, I'm big. I'm big and scary. Nah, you're really not. You're really not. Doesn't seem like paddles is necessary here. So here's the thing. Paddles makes life enormously complicated for your opponent. Because now a tractor is a real boy. I'm a real boy. I can move like the big boys. Because a tractor can now haul ass. A tractor goes like tortoise in the hare. It's now the hare. It now has a 4.440. That is a big, scary attractor. And it is barreling towards you now. As opposed to rumbling. Because that's the speed difference. Barreling versus rumbling. That's how you describe speed. Ooh, we get the Bwom. Well, not a real Bwom. It's really only Bwom if it's Blasto. But we do get a beauty zap here. Getting some damage going down on the spider. Not incredibly significant immediately, but is valuable. 10 keys for Smiley. This does set up a double yoink scenario, which would yield, what, 250 plus 300, so 550, 950. You'd have to be 1, 2, 3. And then 4, so 1370. This is not really in danger. But yeah, going back to paddles briefly, it just makes life more complex for Smiley because you have to honor way more range. Like, way more range. Because otherwise, yeah, this attractor can only move here and then pull to here. Now, hypothetically, a tractor can pull anything on this team because of the paddles. So Smiley's in a weird spot. And by the way, this Hevo, statuesque. Has this thing even thought about moving this entire game since it got up there? That thing is just straight up taking a nap right now. It's performing Windows updates. Please don't shut down your computer. We need... It'll be bad. Don't shut down your computer while you're doing Windows updates. And by the way, do Windows updates. Forgot about Fright Night. How could you, Rock Swan? You're going to get banned now. I'm obviously kidding in case anybody's wondering. You only get banned if you say you hate pizza. And that's not true either. Although people have said that, and that's a bold assertion. It goes beyond bold. It's blasphemous. The gospel of the pizza. So we're getting a big standoff here. When you see a War of the Worlds tripod clone booking it towards you, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. What was that book? There was a book I read as a kid that was very much, had the same, it was kind of like War of the Worlds, like alien species comes in and invades the Earth, takes over the Earth, and actually succeeds in that story, as compared to the way War of the Worlds breaks down. But they also had these similar tripod-esque things. I don't remember if they were actually aliens themselves or they were the ships for the aliens or what. It's been like a long time. But I forget the name of the book. I don't know. This is turning into a book stream. If you weren't here, you gotta... I talk about a lot of different stuff. We were talking about toys last night. We were talking about books. Talking about a lot of stuff. And right now, we're talking about a big old standoff stare down, which, I mean, it makes sense with Beauty. You got this big-ass eye. I think even Smiley forgot about their Hevo. I mean, maybe. Why can't I put a Phobie on the board? Yeah, I just didn't get a chance to look for it, Rock Swan. Been a little busy. Been a little busy. Had a lot of admin things to clean up. Get people prepped and ready to go. And I'm sure we'll have more in between for this particular event. Chad, I heated up some water to make tea, and then we jumped into this game, and that water's going to be cold. It's going to be ice cold. That Hevo is just not interested in participating. The Hevo is on the side of the gym during the dance and is just, I'm not getting involved. Too scared. Or is this somebody who's like ringside to the fight and is just yelling encouragement? Or is that one person who there's an actual like street fight who's just screaming like, hold me back, hold me back. And it's like, bro, no one is holding you back. No one's holding you back. You could get involved at any point. But admittedly, because again, Paddles, we're making jokes, but Paddles, Spider, and Gonzo, there's a lot of support here. Here's the thing, 7 Phobies for Shadow Force, 5 keys remaining, 6 for Smiley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Phobies. Shadow Force has to commit. Who's going to go in? It's probably going to be Gravedigger, but I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't know what they're waiting for. What is the... There's clearly a point in mind where each player says, okay, now I got to go for it. Like, now I'm doing the thing. But what is the thing that... Like, what's the trigger? And I'm not really sure. It appears that Shadow Force is gearing up to try and snipe this Hevo. I don't even know that you can get it. So, like, you go here, you yoink to here. Or you go on lava, yoink to there. I don't think there's any way you can yoink it to get it to here, in which case the jar can get it. Well, actually, you could. Yeah, you walk up, yoink, jar, maybe fly the beauty into range. I don't know that that'll be enough damage. It might be. It should be. That's correct, Akune. All right, entering that in chat. We're just getting a lot of rearranging. Chat, I don't want to peel away from this game, but we might and just come back and check in on them. This is, if this were an NFL game, this is watching somebody try and run out the clock. But the problem is that there's 6,400 health. They're like trying to run out the clock for mid-first quarter. It's not going to happen. This is why I banned this map. Given the new setup, I don't know. I'm curious if this is what the meta is on this map, or is this just what the meta is right now because people aren't sure. I do not, Rock Swan. But if you're heading out, thanks for coming by. So we're getting this big standoff. We'll give it another turn, see if... I'm sure as soon as we leave, one of the players is going to commit to something. I don't know what they commit to at this point, though. Like, what do you actually do from this stage? Because if you're Shadow Force, there's no way to profitably commit. The funny thing is you could send in the Gravedigger. Smiley could then respond with their own Gravedigger or Snowball in order to free up space. You send out something, they respond with a 1 key, and Smiley's at an advantage. So you need to set up a yoink scenario as Shadow Force in order for something to happen. Shadow Force's formation is color coordinated, was it? I didn't even notice. We'll give Smiley 1 turn, then we'll check in on the other games, chat. We can always jump back to this one, see what excitement is happening. I'm going to have a lot of editing to do this week, because I'm going to have to do all these Fright Night things. We're going to have game reviews tomorrow. I never noticed there's a little laser that comes out of a tractor when it's idle like this. At least I don't think I noticed. Yeah, I got the Phobies sweatshirt. Got the Phobies sweatshirt. Get a little Phobies action. This was from the previous Fright Night event. It has smoking gun on this arm. I was showing it off earlier. Shout out to the devs. Again, I am a content affiliate, so they give me stuff, including this, and coffee. Although I was saying it earlier, I think I shrunk it. This is like, it feels pretty small, chat. Shadow Force has to push heart. How is that even possible, though? Well, yes, it is possible that Smiley overreacts or underreacts, but I don't know. This is an interesting break. Honestly, it almost feels as though the obstacles were in Smiley's favor. Because you have the panic point advantage. It doesn't allow clear lines of sight necessarily for a paddles attractor thing to happen. I mean, I think you're right, chat. That is the out, getting to heart. I just don't know if there's a reasonable... Well, so the combination of Gonzo and Beauty allow for kind of breaking of the defenses, because as the defender here, if you were to attack south or push heart, whatever, you're going to have to cluster, so that means you're hitting minimum 2 Phobies, possibly 3, possibly 4. Be extreme, but it's not unreasonable for them to just line up in these rows and then you just blam and light them up. It also, because of the attractor and the spider, something weird is going to happen. But yeah, ultimately, Shadow Force has to do something, and the something that's happening now is... What is happening? Like, this didn't need... This is why I don't think... There was literally no need to break this obstacle, right? Like, why? You didn't see the hoodie on? Like, this... I wore this for last Fright Night. Alright, so we get a juice spider. This... there's no way... Ooh! Got him! The patience pays off. I wish there was a rewind button just so I could see that turn again. This absolutely didn't need to happen. This absolutely did not need to happen. So what is the answer for Smiley? How are you going to get out of this? Because now, all of a sudden, it's not looking bad for Shadow Force. You do get the boop here. That's something. There's a world in which this Beauty dies. Because you could get 2 yoinks and end up with it, like, next to the stem. But I don't think that would be enough damage to actually kill it. Instead, we get the takedown on the spider. You get the takedown on the spider, still 2 yoinks available. But there is the yoink... Oh, no, the yoink is not available for the attractor because we did just use it on the snowball up here. This game is looking tense. It was looking like paint drying or grass growing for a little while. I'm not gonna lie. But that happens sometimes. That happens sometimes. And it's a tournament setting, so players don't... Both players, of course, are going to respect each other. They are well aware their opponent is a strong, competent player. So you don't want to just go blundering into something, walking into obvious plays. Shadow push the heart? I mean, sort of, I guess. It's not quite what I would call a heart push. I think it's closer to what Dios was describing of just swinging south, but we'll see what happens here. The split was interesting, and it looked good for a second, but it's going to come down to this combo, right? Well, it's not just that, but this is going to be a big player. The Noxious follow-up is pretty cool, given that Smiley is out of keys. There is a healing spa, well, 2 spas on this map. This is going to be challenging. You can get a double yoink here. You move this here, yoink, move the spider, yoink. Double hit with this, and then burrow to Clopster. So this should be... I think you have enough damage. This is 5... 550... 850, 930... Yeah, it's just enough. It'll be like 1830 unless I miscounted. The problem is then everything is going to be clustered. So I think 100% of these will get poisoned. Whatever's happening in the north, like sure, you break this thing, whatever. So you'll have these poison phobies. You could definitely cause some to... Really? You can't kill this Gonzo, can you? I guess you can, but this seems... Yeah, you're just going to get annihilated by AoE, aren't you? Oh, and by the way, this is live. Like, you have to still... Remember, whoever was asking about the paddles earlier? You still have to respect this, because now this attractor threatens this area. Which is something easy to forget about. And I think that's what Smiley is realizing here, is that you're going to risk some heavy attractor death. I think the play here is snipe the beauty if you can, but I wonder if Smiley doesn't see it. Am I crazy, chat? Like, is that not worth it? Or did I miscount and it's not possible? See, I don't even know about this because, honestly... I mean, Shadow Force is down panic points once again. Just the panic points in particular have shifted. This isn't bad for Shadow Force to maybe sack the Noxious. This can also just yoink this right now. And that doesn't seem terrible. So, like, you go in, you poison these four. You yoink the Gravedigger. They might be waiting on the AoE for the Gonzo. This is why I think you needed to go in as Smiley and snipe this to reduce the stuff that's going to be bad. Otherwise, next turn, there are two AoEs, well, an AoE/line and an AoE, that can get juiced by Gonzo and just obliterate your team. Just shell the crap out of everything. But I think the answer was kill Beauty while you had the opportunity. Yes, you get Splash, but I think then, once you eliminate the Beauty, if they Splash immediately, and I don't think there was a Yoink that would have been profitable, hugely profitable, you could retreat one or two of the Phobies up here and be like, okay, well, I've had the panic point advantage for forever. I'm not worried about damage, for the most part. Oh, taking up every last second of these turns. Gotta be precise with this. Gotta be precise. But pulling back, I feel like both players are being a little too cautious. Maybe it's just me. Is Octo up? Yeah, both of them were up. Both of them have been up for a few turns. They haven't pulled. Octonauty went in and attacked on the one turn, but it didn't actually pull. I might have been incorrect that Octonauty was not up, and that's why I couldn't do it. Can't rewind, so I can't be 100% positive. I could have sworn it was up, but I might be mistaken. If Octonauty was not up, obviously the play wasn't there. It wasn't up? Okay. Well, there you go, chat. It wasn't available, so it can't be done. So instead, we're getting a heal. We're getting a longer standoff. This could be a dead Octonauty. There's only 1,000 health. It ends up here. That's 6, 9. I think this is a dead Octonauty if Shadow Force wants it. If Shadow Force wants it, they have an Octonauty kill. If this goes down to heart damage, as in just waiting on panic points, as opposed to actually diving the heart, this is going to be a very long game, chat. Not that it hasn't been a long game already, but... this is grueling for the players. And part of the reason that Swiss format... like, this is one of the challenges. Imagine if we had a time limit, and then this just ends up being a draw. I think people have to learn, because we will be going back to Swiss for future Fright Night events, most likely. People need to learn when to just, okay, I'm not going to win this game, and scoop it up. There's really no way around it, because we can't have a 35-hour tournament, you know what I mean? If we're going to do single-day events, there has to be some limitations. All right, so we're getting the spider to advance. This is up, so the spider can get yoinked. Will that matter? Probably ends up here. So where is this going to end up? Get the double yoink. Wait, what? Okay, I was very confused for a moment, but... is this a worthwhile trade? Okay, that's a cool block. That's a very last-second decision, so does this work out? Is it trivial for this to go down so that you can get the yoink onto the spider? Oh no! Not like this! Wait, what? Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute. There is no way that that Jin Sting is supposed to end up there. I think it was just a misclick on what was getting pulled. So, yeah, I think you needed to just kill this with the crab and send the Jin Sting here. See, that's thinking ahead, DT. Oh no, did Smiley throw this away? Was this a punt, chat? I think that last second decision, like end of turn, literally out of time decision might cost. There's no yoinks available. The burrow's not available. All of these phobies, well, I mean, not the attractor, but they're all pretty healthy. You can get the attractor. You can dive it with any combination of these three. I just don't think there's any way that you kill the beauty at this point. This is, what, 780? 1180, 14, 15, 60. Okay, so if you commit literally everything, you kill the beauty. Yeah, chat's catching up with that last turn. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny seeing, like I said earlier, it's funny seeing the reactions come in due to the stream delay and be like chat reacting to what I saw, and it's just like, oh no. Ooh, got him! Got him! With the boop! The boop! Bye-bye, Gonzo. And just like that, the haymakers from both players, putting them on the ropes. Chat, this game was an enormous amount of staring at each other, and then it is erupted. It is absolutely erupted. Chat saying rip Smiley from the previous couple turns. Let's see when they catch up what they say now. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about these games. I'm telling you, it's actually hilarious watching the reactions delayed like this. It's actually funnier for me. It's funnier for me. So what does Shadow Force do from this position? What does Shadow Force do from this position? Because the paddles is a melee phobie. If this were ranged, this would be a different discussion because it's possible. I mean, it wouldn't kill it, but the combination could. You could spread some damage. But the beauty actually can't solo the Gravedigger. The beauty can't solo the Gravedigger. Instead, we get a bunch of damage going down on Hevo, who's still staying alive for now. This is another tense game, chat. It went from watching paint dry to the Super Bowl real quick. We get the on-stim invade? Got him? Got him? Alright, Discord's blowing up on me. 4-1 panic point advantage. What's funny is Beauty can't even one-shot the Hevo. That's a big deal. Like, that's a big deal. You do get the takedown here. But, like, look at this. The Heart Invade. Oh, my God. Chat, this was a wild game. A wild game! Wild! Well played. Well played, both players. That was hype. That was pretty hype. Absolutely worth staying. I'm glad we didn't switch off, because if we missed any part of that end game, oh, my God. All right, Smiley Shadow Force. Here we go. Let's get in there. Chat, they're on Carousel. Smiley is going first. How is Shadow Force going to try and pull this series back? Remember, we have a 1-0 game advantage for Smiley. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Chat, I might have time to eat in between Event 1 and Event 2. Maybe. We'll see. I'm not confident. I'm not confident. But there's leftovers for me to reheat, so it'll be a little bit quicker. We'll see how this goes. We get a fairly, I was going to say slow, but that's not the way I want to describe it. Methodical opener from Smiley here. One mover, one mover. We're getting an early Gravedigger or earlier Gravedigger from Shadow Force. We've seen this, excuse me, in other replays, other games. Not necessarily today, but the multiple buttons being abilities, is an advantage. You can do more stuff. I'm going to also pull it for YouTube Savadas, but yeah, the VODs will stay up. I'm planning on leaving the VODs up unless there's a reason not to, kind of thing. I always leave the VODs up for everything unless there's a reason to take them down. But I will get the Fright Night stuff up on YouTube as quickly as possible. One monitor, 2 streams, Phobies on phone, plus Discord. Nice. Got the whole setup lined up there, Hakune. I actually, a while back, bought a set of monitor arms so that I can move them, although I don't really move them. I tried to do one vertical monitor and one regular horizontal monitor for a while, but I couldn't get anything to look right. Great game. Yeah, Smiley has had a number of great games. Some they've won, some they've lost, but there have been some great Smiley games over the course of today. We'll see if this one continues the trend. Smiley's getting an early advantage here. They're going to get the trap here on the panic point, which, yes, it's not going to one-shot this. Only 500 to a, what was it, 675, 650. But it does soften it up, so it's only one hit. It allows you to reposition. But the cat whiff, as in no cat takedown, is a big deal. Not that there was really a way that Shadow Force could have made that happen from this positioning, but leaving that cat alive means that it lives to take a point another day. So I was actually thinking about that, Irk. If we don't know if there's going to be like a 1-year celebration or anything, but if I run another Fright Night and it coincides with that, I have to consider, do we ban any new Phobies? like net new. I know that isn't what you're asking about the season pack, but if, say, I ran Fright Night at the beginning of March and the day before the new patch drops and introduces a bunch of new phobies, do I need to ban any of the new phobies, blanket ban, so that way people who spend money don't have an unfair advantage immediately, that sort of thing? I'm not sure. I haven't thought about it, but it is something that's crossed my mind. I haven't put a lot of thought into it, we'll say. So the methodical approach continues from Smiley, absolutely playing the I'm going to drain your brain game. How's that? By putting out, hey, you need to really think about the plays here. However, as mentioned earlier, there are more buttons on Shadow Force's side. There's more things to click on. It's not simply attack and defend. There's traps. There's breaks/builds. There's a lot of things that can be set up here. Shadow Force is now banking to 7. Are we going to get a further bank and then maybe see a boss? Boss is a good way to try and break this sort of thing. Clearly, Inoculus is kind of soft. It's a softer target, especially compared to, like, Stabby, for example. Almost double the HP at, of course, level 1s. Reminder that we are, in fact, playing all through level 1s. This is the interesting thing. The map ban system and limiting things to level 1s absolutely changes the game. And I think that it is a sufficient enough change, at least right now, to not necessarily need other hoops to jump through, but that remains to be seen. That's why I like, again, shout out to Dios and Jelly and other content creators that are making events. If you're not aware of those events, definitely go looking. You'll find them. They're getting advertised. But I mean, I talk about it on stream, but having these different approaches allows all of us to look at, hey, well, their event did this, mine is doing this, we're doing different things, and that's fine. Different people will enjoy different things, but also it helps refine quicker what's better. If we just waited on Fright Night to roll through every idea, we're not going to do it fast enough. It'll take forever to check everything. Now we can look through different event types, different event structures, and see which works best. Well, but that's the problem, Anton. If the new phobies came out, going back to the patch discussion, we don't know. And it's possible somebody opens a new busted ultra rare that just nobody has any... Like, there's no time to really assess. Most card games have that, where they release a new set, and there's a grace period where you can't use them in tournaments. Official ones, anyway. And obviously, Fright Night is pseudo-official because we're getting dev support, but, you know. So anyway, back to the game. There are more comments in chat. Never mind. Smiley's doing the usual Smiley bit of, debating. 4 phobies to 4 phobies, 8 keys banked to 10. This is somewhat aggressive. I almost would rather... So here's the thing. I think you don't take this panic point. You have a 1-0 panic point advantage. You're going to make this 1-1, and you're sacrificing this, and you're committing to the board. So that means they're going to kill this. They're going to reclaim with the cowbell. It's not going to die to the trap. And now it's 1-1 instead of 1-0. I think that's I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. The cat was so far back because it was damaged earlier. And I agree with Onda. I expect a boss in the very, very near future. The cat was shy. The cat doesn't do well with strangers. So we do get another break. The board is opening up on Shadow Force's side. Yeah, just taking a quick cat nap. Like, why are you busting this cat's balls? Come on. You're busting chops. Just ask anybody. But yeah, I think it would have been better to hold... There's the boss. Who called it? Claim your winnings. Who could have possibly seen this coming? And now I think Smiley's in a rough spot. Now, here's the thing. Shadow Force and a number of other players, I mean, anybody who has boss, I think, is arguably known for having boss, right? If you have boss, you're utilizing it. Now, we haven't seen it in every game. We didn't see it in the last one. So, like, what was your plan with going with the Klepto? I don't know. I can't visualize it right now on what the answer to boss is, especially given the context that the cat is dead. Why does that matter? And I'm drawing attention to what may be an innocuous detail and the higher higher caliber, higher skill players that are hanging out in chat or watching this on YouTube, let me know what your thoughts are. But to me, you keep the cat, keep your 1-0 panic point advantage. If they go boss, then at least you can send it in to do something. Trading them out in this fashion, especially when Shadow Force committed... Or no, they didn't commit to it because they did afterwards. But it just seems like it was pointless. And then you elected to put this Klepto on the board. And I'm not sure how you break the boss. It's loser's choice, Akune. So Akune brings up a point that in the rules as they're structured, the loser chooses the map and who goes first. So that means that Shadow Force elected to go second on this map, which is interesting. So we get a smiley, a common answer here to, well, not necessarily here as in this map, a common answer in general to boss. Smiley from Smiley? I mean, it's only fitting, right? It's only fitting. This tea is gross now, chap. It's like barely lukewarm. It's not cold yet, but it's barely lukewarm, and it just tastes... I don't like tea to begin with. But as I mentioned earlier, only decaf. I need a little caffeine. Need a little caffeine. So we get the 2-to-1 panic point advantage now in Shadow Force's favor. 4 Phobies here, 8 keys remaining to 7. You have to give the board advantage to Shadow Force, right? There's no position here that you feel Smiley's ahead. So how does Smiley turn the tables? Yeah, I kind of like the Smiley, but, you know, the retraction here. No, that's fine, Akune. As people get used to it, that's why I want to lock down the overall structure of the tournaments. We are trying a number of different structures over the last several events. Not today. Like, everything today is being run the same, but over the last several Fright Nights and even Fright Night number 5 will be slightly different. The intent is that this will allow us, similar to what I was saying earlier, with other content creators running their own type of events and other structures, to identify what feels best. We're just kind of feeling it out, figuring it out. If Shadow Force was hyper easy, we'd just throw boss and do something like just fling boss in a catapult at your opponent and be like, stop me! Shadow Force going bone mangles instead of stabby here because he expects Smiley to come out with a boss, I think. I mean, it's possible. I think Smiley is, I don't want to say panicking, but absolutely scrambling to try and find, like, how do you respond to this board position? Because anything you commit is dead. It's 100% dead. I would have put Gravedigger on the top point and then build a wall to the left. That is something that could have come out in an earlier game. I'm a little surprised it didn't happen here. All right, are we going to get Fire and Ice? Smiley, always ready to pull that undo button, that undo trigger. Chat, it's Sub-Zero versus Scorpion, Fire and Ice. Let's see what happens. I know that comparison doesn't really work, but I like it because I like Mortal Kombat, and I don't really care what anybody else thinks. This is what we got, chat. This is what we got. We got a little Sub-Zero. We got a little Scorpion action, although they should be on the other sides. We got Scorpion over here as boss. We got Sub-Zero's Yeti. Let's see what we got. That may be true, Akune. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, Shadow Force seems to be in a winning position. Now the Yeti complicates things, and I don't think... Yeah, boss can't stay there. I don't know that boss can stay here. Oh, 0 keys to 0 keys, and now it's Team Global Warming versus almost Ice Age. Almost Ice Age. Still a fair amount of time. There's 5k health on this heart. 4k. Interestingly, the panic point advantage from earlier is still holding. Shadow Force had a lot of ground to make up. Shadow Force had a lot of ground. I love the snow particle effect. Like, Yeti just exudes snow, which is hilarious. Honestly, I don't mind the Yeti response here. And now that we're down to, not many phobies remaining, no keys remaining, this is a much more dangerous, hypothetically dangerous stabby. This, however, seems bold. This seems bold because this is a very vulnerable Inoculus. Is it dead? Probably not, but it's not impossible. Snowball is up. Yeah, you can absolutely... Or snow cone. Snow cone. Don't eat yellow snow, chat. It's not going to end well. Global warming. Yep. Get a little global warming gaming. Panic point advantage for Smiley. Shadow Force is in an uncomfortable position here. He can't freeze anymore, just gets unfrozen. To a degree, it decreases the amount of damage output. So yes, you can unfreeze with the Fire Ant. Say they freeze boss, you unfreeze with Fire Ant via double hits, right? At least I think it will, because it should apply a second stack of fire. However, that still means that the double hits are going from the fire. Like, that's damage the Fire Ant could have put somewhere else, or a trap it didn't put down, something like that. This is a bold move. Okay, no, never mind. It still had a move yet. I thought this attacked twice. I don't know why. We get a double attack from Stabby. Stabby's going to, of course, die to the fire, but you're trading Stabby for Bow Mangles. You got a little bit of damage onto the boss. We're once again in a position where Shadow Force has to make a commitment to something. What that something is, I'm not sure, because now... I mean, losing the Bow Mangles hurts, but is it that big of a deal? 3,600 health. I expect Shadow Force waits. Oh my god, look at this! It's a sea of fire. It's a sea of fire. What is yellow snow? Don't worry about it, just trust me. Somebody in chat or in the YouTube comments will probably explain. Now I expect, I kind of, like, I'm gonna laugh if there's an ice-based phobie that creates yellow snow. Anyway, we're digressing, chat. That's what we do here. So, I expect Shadow Force is going to wait. There's no real rush at this stage. Yes, you're taking damage. Yes, you're getting fairly low on the heart, but it's not... You're not about to die in the next 2 turns or something. So you wait for this to come back up. Then you commit and kill. You can bully the Inoculus to a degree. You can bully the Inoculus. And your opponent can't commit right now and kill this, this boss. And they just literally cannot. And if you kill the Inoculus, can you... If you were to kill the Inoculus with this, 1,600 health, so this is 800, 12. Yeah, this will die. If you were to go in and annihilate the Inoculus, it will die. And I don't think you have enough damage to get through these 3 with Gravedigger, Unicorn, and Fire Ant. So I think this makes more sense. You have to soften up their team. The issue here is, can Shadow Force profitably leave this boss here? Because if Smiley advances, double hit with this, freeze or something. Yes, Irk, you are correct. Yellow snow is, in fact, someone peed in the snow. Hence, don't eat yellow snow. This is, once again, another very tense setup. Let me know, chat, and let me know, YouTube, what do you think is the appropriate response here? How do you get out of this position as either player? Try an armchair quarterback a little bit. Feel free to pause the video. So, we ended up getting just a little bit of damage going down. Of course, for Smiley, everything is in their favor. This seems weird, though. This setup, no, not like this. You can't freeze the boss now. And this will die if it kills the boss. So that means you're trading 10 keys for 8, and it's these 3 versus these 2. Like, that's... I think that's advantage Shadow. Did Shadow do this, chat? We said that a lot in the last game, so I mean... You know what's also funny? This Gravedigger can come in, claim this point, and block this off. So it's going to force Smiley to come through this choke at the top. It depends on how this Klepto reacts, though. The Klepto could, of course, retreat. It doesn't have to stay in here. If it does, it's going to die. But there is a world in which... Oh my god, it can't even kill it. It can't even kill it. It's only going to do 800. This boss has 830 health. An invasion to freeze the fire ant is bold. 1800 health. This is a dead Yeti, and I think that's worth taking. That's 8 and 760, 15. So you'll need your whole... Oh, you don't need your whole team anymore. Oh, no! Oh, no! No! Oh, that is brutal. I mean, you had to know the traps are there, right? That fire ant's been doing a whole lot of nothing. I think Shadow's got this game. We're going to a game 3! We're going to game 3. At least I don't want to be premature about this, but, like, come on. What exactly is Smiley supposed to do here? What exactly is Smiley supposed to do here? Another oh my god, look at this lake of fire! This is what hell is like. The big boss man off the top ropes. Game Shadow. All right, game 3 for event 1, round 2. We're here on, I was about to say Biff's room, but it's not in fact Biff's room. It's the recently updated map, fixing this panic point here. So we got more Gravedigger openers. For anyone out there watching at home, more Gravediggers. More Gravediggers. They are clearly important on a variety of these maps. Both players have played spectacularly so far. I hate to see one of them eliminated, but that's how it works. Somebody's got to go home. Somebody's going to move on. Who is it going to be, though? We'll see. We'll see. So we had a pseudo turret in the unicorn. I mean, I guess you can call it a turret. We get the follow-up answer in the stabby. It's interesting that we got Electricat as the 1-drop of choice. I mean, at level 1s. Again, we're playing at level 1. Does it really matter? I don't know. It's a little weird because there's only this electrical. It's also notable that Electricat doesn't have additional flavor text. Obviously, the ones with effects don't have flavor text. But Cowbell has double, most of the vanilla Phobies have double flavor text. But Electric Cat, I guess the reminder text takes the place. You'll have to brainstorm it, chat. What do you think should be the second line for Electric Cat? Besides, don't rub balloons on the kitty. You won't like kitty on balloons? I don't know, that sounds weird. Going into a little more stale-matey action here. Let's see what we've got. Let's see what we've got. We got a little stabby action coming out from Shadow Force to mirror the stabby from Smiley, getting some repositioning. I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes long as well, chat. We're getting a bank from Smiley. What is Smiley's high end? Does anybody know? Like, what? Does Smiley have Boss? Does Smiley have Hevo? We'll see. Yeah, that's part of the reason I was thinking of Akune, because I was thinking of your game where we saw a Hevo 3.0 mirror. But I'd be a little surprised if we ended up with the extensive stare down that we got on game 1. We did get a bit of a stare down on map 2, but realistically it was way more fast-paced, we'll say. So we do have a break or build available for Smiley as well as Shadow Force. Why did this not... So, I'm a little surprised that this didn't get expended just to put it on cooldown so you can do the next one faster. The only reason I could see not doing it is if you're expecting Shadow Force to come in, take this point, and block here. It may be a defensive play here to not activate this and not push the button. Which I think is one of those foresight things where it's very easy to go, yeah, I want to push the button, I'm going to push the button, I'm going to push the button. But again, if you broke this, similar to how we're seeing from Shadow Force, okay, you can just break this and now this is back open again. Yes, it's annoying that there's an obstacle here. But we do in fact see a Hevo 3.0. Is Shadow Force going to go boss or is it going to be Hevo? We shall see. Chat's ironically, when I made that comment, what's Smiley's high end? Do they have these things? And chat's hearing it now, so they're responding with 3.0, Hematic, 2.0, Fire Ant. Hevo, people who called Hevo 3.0, you win the day, for now. Speak of the Devil is right. We do, in fact, get the big Molotov cocktail party itself. It's Hevo. A little Hevo action. So how is Shadow Force going to respond? Boss is reasonable here, I think. There's 9 keys remaining for Smiley. There's 15 remaining for Shadow Force. You could... Yep, it is in fact Boss. Boss just looks cool, chat. To me, Boss just looks really cool. Although I want to know, does Boss have eyes? It does not appear Boss has eyes. Although it looks more like a snout on the in-game model compared to the card. Fight fire with fire? I mean, that's one way to do it. Here's the thing. This block here is way more advantageous for Smiley than it is for Shadow Force. Because of that, you can lob and the AoE off of it. Shadow Force has to reposition in order to actually hit anything. This is a play that all of you Hevo 3.0 enjoyers, or I guess you haters, are well acquainted with. It's a good heads-up play. It's a good heads-up play. Is it appropriate here? I mean, yeah, it's probably fine. It's probably fine. Like, how is Shadow Force going to respond here? You can't cleanly get at... So what I expect will happen is you move down here, maybe hit these with your fired, and then chop the stabby with... Like, none of these options are great. Look at how unhealthy all of these are. Even the boss is almost half health just from that. That is a savage way to initiate this fight. Like, that's a brutal way. You can't... It's going to be tough, even if Shadow Force... Because I see chat bringing up Gonzo. Gonzo's not active immediately. You can't just Gonzo boost get in there. Assuming that would even be good here. You have to wait a turn. All right, so we are going to get the You're Fired rotation setting up here, getting some damage laying down. The problem is this is not going to die. Actually, it will. 2 hits from this plus the fire. So you're going to trade Unicorn for the Gravedigger. Okay. Boss is just Hellboy? I mean, kind of. Kind of. He doesn't have his big gauntlet. What is it called? The Hell Fist? Wait, this lived? Oh my god, that only does 100 fire damage. Wow. This is also brutal. This is so much damage going on this boss. Wow. Chad, this boss is going into early retirement. Somebody get this guy a silver watch and a plaque and send him out to pasture. We get the Clinico, a boom follow-up. Smiley might be taking this, chat. Smiley might be taking this. I've called them too early before where it's, oh, well, clearly this player is doing this. Clearly this is going to happen, but ooh. Big oof. Now, Shadow Force can get a heal here. Yeah, we're going to get Muffin. We might even see a Clinico because boss is your ticket to winning this game, but I don't know. I'm struggling a bit on how to make this turn around. Triple panic point advantage for Smiley. There's a lot of pressure. Yeah, we still have 3 keys left for both players. This Stabby is poisoned, so it is dead to poison. This is not going to come back online quickly enough. Honestly, I kind of would rather have seen the Muffin come up here. And then just... I don't know. I don't even know if that matters. Thunder Rocks is the final phobie for Shadow Force. I don't know. I don't know. I think this... It feels obvious to say, but the play with the Gravedigger to get the double hits on boss just kind of put everything in motion, right? Because at that point, boss couldn't safely commit. Because it's okay to take damage. Boss is really tanky. It doesn't have infinite health, though. And I'm not saying Shadow Force played that poorly. It's just, I don't really know what you do in that scenario. This makes sense. The Hevo covers both panic points. You can't claim this point with the Stabby. In fact, the Stabby is a little awkward here because it's going to prevent your ability to actually cap this point if you try and go in and attack. But if you don't go in after things... Honestly, I think the Hevo there is fine, right? This might be too defensive from Smiley. I'm not sure. Keen Spirit is a 3.0 map. It certainly feels that way. I mean, it's a lob-based map. A lot of the small maps can be bullied by these big keys. You know, you lock down the early game. We've talked about it for a long time. You lock down the early game with turrets, try and make advantageous plays, and then you show up with some big, enormous-sized phobie and just take over the game from there. If you're able to score an advantage, you can really press it as the player with the big phobie. At this point, I don't know how Shadow Force gets out of this, because I don't know how you kill Evo. Because this is on death's door, this is dead this turn, so it's boss, Clinico, and Thunder Rocks versus this and another 3 keys. You can even allow this to happen because there is no follow-up here. There's an argument that boss should have been here. yes, boss would take some splash damage, but then you can walk in, hit, thereby body blocking, and then get another hit with boss. But the counterattacks might be too much. I don't know. You're really worried about the schedule, Hakuna. It's not a big deal. We will be fine. There's literally nothing from this event that impacts Event 2. Just pinging Event 2, though, so that people can get warmed up, if they will. So, yeah, because of this block, the one that I was saying, well, why didn't you break this? Like 40 turns ago? This is preventing the boss from coming in and splashing these. I don't know that that would necessarily be good, because it would probably die. But it might be something. Yeah, Hevo could have taken damage on that spot from the stabby, but I don't think it matters. And I think it being able to double hit this would have been better. Like, I don't know. Given that you have the Clinico, I just don't think there's enough damage for Shadow Force to actually one-shot the Hevo. Like, the Clinico should end up where Boom is, I think. Well, it could be here. Problem with putting it in either of those... Now you have to put it here, so that way it can immediately get to the Hevo. 2850 on the heart. There's an argument for Smiley to have not committed like this and just said, hey, you Shadow Force need to do something, because they're in such a commanding position that there's not really a way for them to pull it back. The back-end technical director, fair. To be perfectly honest, I wouldn't mind having some help with running this stuff sometimes. So we get a heal, we get a boss invade. Is it going to matter? Doubt, but we'll see. Kind of feel like the double hit Hevo turn kind of ended the game. I agree, and that's why a lot of people... It's something that I stress to any new Phobie players. Once you hit a certain threshold skill level, you recognize that games end way faster than a lot of people will admit. Like, games just end at certain points, and yes, it's not literally over because the winning player could make a series of mistakes, or even an equally catastrophic mistake. But for example here, I think Smiley goes in right here and just hits the heart with Hevo. That isn't really a good segue from my previous point because it doesn't matter in this respect, but games end faster than people are willing to admit in Phobies. And it requires a lot of things happening on the other player's part, as in the player who is winning, to screw up a bunch in order to change it. Nerf the 3.0, I mean, there's a lot of people on that train. Is it necessary? I don't know. Remember, the maps play into these things. So the maps for this stuff, it's entirely possible it's just map-based. But GG. Down goes Shadow Force, Smiley taking the dub. Well played. And there we go, chat. We have our finals for Event 1. That was actually a really cool series. I think it was really fun. I don't know why I got out of that screen because we needed to do. Need to actually be in there. We'll be jumping in as soon as Smiley and Man in Yellow get the show on the road. Let's get in there. So we're back on Phobos. Missed the early part of the game, but that's okay. A little hematic Ginsting versus Ginsting action. Maybe not. Smiley doing the usual Smiley trick, taking everything back. I do miss the undo function when I play other games, chat. I keep looking for it after playing so much Phobies. I'm like, there has to be an undo here. Oh, wait, there's not. So this is a much less aggressive start than we've seen in many other Phobos games. You know, no snowball that came out. Oh, there was a snowball. We actually missed a bunch. Oh, baby, chat. I missed more turns than I thought I did. We saw some early violence with these getting taken down. But still, only a 1-to-1 panic point advantage here. We're not getting it changing sides from this point. The response here is boom. And then a primate. This is actually something that I don't mind here. Both cassowary and primate represent another way to get value out of the stim. So you actually, clearing out the stim by leaping off of it allows for something else to come in and reclaim it. And we actually get a whole bunch of takedowns here. Whole bunch of takedowns. All of a sudden, it's Ginsting and Bachelor that are dead for one side, whereas it's like an army that's dead on this side. Admittedly, 2-1 keys, but still. I don't really understand the boom here, truthfully. I mean, I guess it's fine. It's going to do 550, which means that these two are dead. Yeah, this is actually pretty good here. If Smiley ends turn like this, that means these three are dead. Which, honestly, that trade's not bad. I guess it's not great. One thing I wish was in the... It's not that difficult to track how many actions are left on any given phobie, but it would be nice if there was a... how many action... like an action marker for the phobies. Are we going to see a dead murder wing? Because that would mean that it gets poisoned, but is that the end of the world? Yeah, this was expected. To get the takedown here, we're going to get a poison going down on something and then presumably a retreat. The Ginsting here is now healthier, but would be susceptible to death if it advances. Daisy is the follow-up. This is a somewhat solidified position from our blue player. Contortio coming out to supplement the forces. That'll allow for some panic point recapture depending on how Smiley responds here. We do get the poison going down on the primate. Can't be cured, of course. Yes, this is game number 1. This is, in fact, game number 1. We do finally get the more common player 2, we'll say, start in the Gravedigger breaking this point. This opens up access to this northeast quadrant of the map. You can sneak something up there, including the Gravedigger itself, to try and cap these points. Never mind, Smiley has decided to, once again, make a fool of me, trying to explain all these plays and then just, nope, I'm not doing it. I changed my mind. This is now a meme. Okay, why are you positioning it that way? Why does it matter? Because you specifically want the Jin Sting to be able to get through. Fair. You want the Jin Sting to be able to get here, presumably to help cover these points, so that way that the Primate can't just quickly recap. Alright, Primate goes in. It should die without too much trouble. I mean, well, maybe a little bit of trouble, because this is going to require either 2 hits from this or a combination of hits from all 3 of these. You can get it with a jar from here or a snowball. Well, snowball's dead. No, snowball's not dead. Snowball from our first player is dead. From our blue player. This feels like a very aggressive Phobos game. I feel like every Phobos game is aggressive. Morty is not the follow-up. It would have been interesting. This Clinico is basically in no man's land. It's going to take forever to get back here and heal. This Jin Sting is going to have to just full-on retreat if it's planning on getting out of dodge. But it may have to stay in. We're going to be at a 4-0 panic point advantage for our blue player. This is more like what we've seen on Phobos in a lot of scenarios. Get a little more bees going down, get the retreat. There could be a muffin. There's 6 keys for Smiley. There's a variety of healers that could come out. But this is a very vulnerable Jin Sting. Alright, takedown on the Primate. The Jin Sting is less vulnerable, except for the fact that, oh, by the way, this Morty can just, you know, get there. Now, that overextends the Morty, but these can probably kill this. The creep is also advancing, or not. The creep advancing is interesting, like trying to reclaim this. I get it, you're taking a bunch of damage, but you're not in too much trouble yet. You still have over 6,400 health. Dermic is going to come out. That makes a very, very healthy Jin Sting. And we get a boom. The boom's actually an interesting threat here because it represents so much damage and could multi-hit depending on the potential positioning of Man in Yellow. There's actually not a lot of easy kills that can be scored here by Man in Yellow on this side, just because you have to cluster opening yourself up to boom and more bees. Well, more bees is down, but you get hit by bees. There's already a Gravedigger, which is going to require an investment. If you don't get the Gravedigger, and by going for Contortio, if you go for the Contortio instead, the Gravedigger's still alive. So you can take this. That probably gets Daisy killed. And I don't think... 1, 2, 3, 4, you'd be here. 1, 2... Okay, never mind. Daisy's not going to die. Daisy won't be able to die here because you can boom this and hit it with this, but you don't have a follow-up to step on it. So instead, you probably just take the Morty kill. Which is why I think Man in Yellow's thinking better of it. This retreat means that you're not going to necessarily lose the Daisy. Noxious is the follow-up. 5-1 panic point advantage. It won't be for much longer, but that is a significant advantage. The damage is adding up. So you not only have to deal with whatever's on the board, but also try and make something happen. Man in Yellow electing to retract the Noxious in favor of K9000. 8 keys remaining to 11 total, 6 available for Smiley. Getting these to show up. Getting them to show up briefly, anyway. So, bees. This is okay. The double healer is still awkward. It kind of feels as though Smiley should go into another big centerpiece phobie. Because you have double healers, that way you can bully things. Maybe 2 mediums, you know, Klepto and something else, something like that, but... With the 8 keys remaining, I feel as though you probably want 2 medium-sized things, or at very least multiple threats. Going into a singularly tall phobie, singularly large phobie, is going to represent some problems. Hypothetically, anyway. This is, yeah, there's no way this dies, right? Oh, it does. You should have enough damage here. Was that necessary? Oh, yeah, the Contortio. I was like, wait a minute, did you have to pop the boom? This is a very Hakune-esque play. Popping the boom to break phobie lock. You may have forgotten about this Contortio. May have forgotten about that Contortio. The Jin Sting goes down, and Smiley's starting to mount a position to build a comeback from. Hilariously, this Dermic won't die, lives by 75 health. The Morty suddenly feels real bad. Morty suddenly feels real bad. And Man in Yellow is now on the retreat. What is their answer here? Again, I don't think you can go one big-ass phobie. Well, we're going to mostly singular... Nope, we're not. Never mind. Everybody loves doing that to me. It's the risk of commentating live. I don't think you can go a singularly large phobie at this stage. It's possible, and try and... If that phobie is relevant enough... Like, is boss good enough from this position? Possibly, because you could snipe a variety of things with the combination of Morty and You're Fired. And then if you can position it such that you can snipe the Jin Sting, that's a big presence taken away from Smiley. I don't think Smiley's going to give you that opportunity. The other challenge here is this Klepto is in range of Jin Sting with more bees on the stim. That's a lot of damage. A lot of damage that's going to go down. I don't think it's enough to get this Morty, because there's nothing else really in range, because this is not live. But I think you take this, yeah. Now, the problem is the Jin Sting may die. 2 counter hits, counter hit, counter hit, counter hit, counter hit. Well, maybe not the Daisy any longer, but... Wait, did you just poison the... Canine? But that's a very damaged blue team and a not very damaged orange team. Noxious is the final phobie. Noxious feels like a nail in the coffin here. Noxious feels like a nail in the coffin. This is going to be really tough for Man in Yellow. I'm not sure there is a way to come back from this. You need some IRL coffee there, Luffy? Well, IRL... I didn't get my coffee. I had to go with tea. I had to go with tea. I'm disappointing Vendy. I don't know that it matters. I honestly like... Okay, so the poison did end up here. I think it was accidentally misclicked here, and maybe that's why all the rewinds happened, or part of it. So this is quite possibly a dead Jin Sting. We'll see how much damage Man in Yellow can do here. I didn't mind the Noxious follow-up because things are going to be clustered. It would be a solid AoE hit. Obviously, the poison would be relevant on a few different phobies. Probably only going to hit 2 at most that are relevant, but still. The Jar takedown because Daisy will snipe Jars on level. The Jin Sting takedown, and this is looking dicier than I think it needed to. Due to the undos, I'm pretty sure this is a dead Jin Sting, but I'm guessing it's not? I don't know how that's possible. It's 1,500 just between these two. I mean, yes, you have to commit both, but like... Oh, wait, no, there might not be enough surface area. There's not enough surface area. Oh, no. Man in Yellow needed these two keys, whatever it was, to already be on the board. Although, I don't think there's anything that would reach. There's not enough surface area here, because the Morty is melee. It has to occupy one of those positions. Which means that you can't get all 3 melee hits. Womp wah. Getting that rapid-fire daisy hit at the end. Rapid-fire daisy hit. But yeah, from this position, this is pretty brutal. You got double healer. One of them's active. You could probably just burn a heal for the sake of it right now. You kill off the daisy trivially. Do you, though? Yes, you do. Or you don't. I think you kill the daisy here. You have a massive panic point advantage. Yeah, you just take the daisy here, right? And then you could just back off, because they can't even get to the panic point to hit you. Nothing can reach the panic point, so all they're going to do is walk up into range of you and, well, die. So I did get a message from the players as far as... I didn't realize this was up there before because I didn't look at Discord. I was busy focusing on the game. Teen Spirit, Lights Out, Mysomania, and Pluto got banned. For anybody curious. I know we didn't have that for all the games because we were jumping between a variety of games and I'd have to go dig up messages. Some of the advantages of doing it after the fact is having everything prepped and ready to go as opposed to doing it live. But yeah, at this point, I don't see a good way that Man in Yellow can advance. It's like, okay, you're going to get some damage, but not enough to actually kill anything. The snowball is alive. You could bees get out and dermic. This is going to make life a little complicated because Smiley is spread a bit. But the panic points are even at this stage. You have more bees. Boomer is the last phobie, so it's a non-combat phobie. It's not going to actually be able to interact with the board in a meaningful way. But you're going to get a heal here. And a dead Klepto. That sounded like it hit way too many times. That was weird. And just like that, there were only 2. I think we can safely call this one. I think we can safely call this one. Man in Yellow offering up the Boomer as a sacrifice. Very honorable. Well played. GG. But we've now watched 2 different Phobos games. In neither game did the first player win. Neither game did the first player win. The orange player has taken it down in both scenarios. Why is that creep sound like it's hitting so much? It feels like it's 2 or 3 extra hits. GG. Well played. On to game number 2. While we were talking, we got in here. We're on the Once lore. Missed the early part of the game. I didn't see it pop up. truthfully. But it is what it is. We're getting a unique set of responses. We are getting a Gravedigger here, snowballs coming out from both players, a very early Noxious, and then AWOL and Bachelor as the 1 keys. A little weird. A little weird. The Innocuous makes sense. Obviously, we're still early on, so we're not seeing anything dead just yet. We're getting the Bully position here against the Snowball. It's going to have to retreat unless it wants to exit this Mortal Coil much quicker than most people would prefer. We're absolutely getting a very different setup than what we've seen on other times on this map. We'll see how quickly both players start deploying Yoinks. The Noxious could make life complicated. I think Smiley has a Tractor. I'm not sure. Yeah, because Smiley did that against Shadow Force, right? It was the Hevo that was hanging out here for a million turns, and then a Tractor and Octonauty? Or no, it was Spider and Octonauty, right? Difference being is, of course, one can be poisoned, one cannot, but there's naturally a healing spa available. We'll see. We're getting into the 1 key trading war. We'll see where this goes from here. Plain old Hevo, no bank from Smiley. We're going to counter threat here. That would allow, of course, an elimination on Snowball, but never mind. Smiley takes it back. Seven keys bang for Man in Yellow. All right, Gin Sting is a response here. That's interesting. It will still eliminate this Snowball. Could possibly get poisoned. Of course, can be cured by the healing spa that's nearby. But you could get, let's see, that's 4, 820, 1270. It isn't quite a dead Gin Sting with an invade from all 3 of these. But that is a significant amount of damage going down on it. I imagine Smiley would get the better of it in the counterattack. I mean, they have to, right? Because the AWOL would have survived in that scenario. But instead, we'll just be swapping panic points back and forth here. I kind of feel as though the Noxious sitting on this spa might not be bad. You get double hits from this and then a hit from the Innocuous. And then the poison ticks on this. I don't know. That might have been worth it. I'm not sure. It wouldn't be great. But it might not have been bad just to put some pressure on. And Smiley can't immediately claim the healing spa to heal this off. But then again, it's so... Nah, it's not that close. Like, even a jar wouldn't be able to get to it. But instead, we're getting Poison Ivy as the answer from Man in Yellow. This is interesting. I don't hate it. The trap here is unique in that you will need either a Boomer or a Numbskull or a Cowbell in order to tank it. All of the other Phobies that are susceptible to poison are small enough that they will die at level 1 to a singular trap hit, meaning they're not going to cap this. Because, for example, well, this... I mean, the cat's now at 380, but it only has 600 health. Uniquely, that lines up with the trap. Is Oopsie Baby good on this map? I'm not sure. I could see it having value. So we do get the break here. Again, buttons to press. Just getting some one-key trading wars. This is 620. This will actually tank it. This is just a square 600, so this will tank the trap, which complicates Man in Yellow's life. Granted, it will inevitably die to poison. You don't even have to put in effort to kill it, but you probably want to just so that it's not getting one last attack or something. Never mind. Smiley does it again. And then redoes it. You get the takedown here, not surprising. Where is the trap going to land? Because I kind of expect it to not be here. I kind of expect it to be getting deployed here, or maybe even here. It's possible you bank on it. Or bank it, so that way you could put it here. And we get a Hevo 2.0. So there's a lot of things going on Man in Yellow side. As, again, buttons to press. You got a lot of buttons. Everything but the Boomer has a button to press. Hypothetically, anyway. Actually, enough damage to take down the Boomer. Gets the recap here. We'll see if there is a trap. Again, there is value in doing that, just to make sure that you're eliminating this thing. Smiley, in the meantime, while these trading wars are going on, 6,600 health to 7,600, 9 keys remaining. So Smiley is down on health, but ultimately, it's not a significant problem. So repositioning here to prevent the splash going down onto the Gravedigger, presumably. Or maybe Smiley doesn't care because now the... I mean, it's probably to avoid the splash also, and then it's just less splash here. So there was, in fact, a trap here. But if you don't put damage into this because it survived, yes, it's only 200 damage output, but it does matter. That's 200 damage that you don't have to take. Getting this set up in order to trap this panic point, which I think is pretty cool. That's going to require either the Hevo or something stepping on it, or of course you're risking the trap, putting a big crimp in your plans. All right, we get our first yoink out of either player. Given that it's not a tractor, this is going to limit the options because, for example, if this Hevo wants to come in here, it can still get this without risking getting yoinked. Panic point advantage for blue player. Still 7 keys. Smiley is holding on to a lot of these keys. And this boop, I think, is relevant because now the Noxious has to recommit to get maximum damage as opposed to poison, which clearly is only just a ranged attack, and then it's putting it on cooldown for 3 turns. But the early Noxious hasn't it really exerted that much influence at this stage? It's demanded some slightly awkward positioning, but I don't know how much it's done so far. We get the counter Moffat. Big shock there. The thing is that Man in Yellow has not committed to any kind of break, any kind of terraform ability. 5 keys, so there is still the option to go their own Gravedigger, but not crush more. Smiley is content to stay at 7 keys. Smiley is content to stay at 7 keys. That's interesting. What's the other threat that they want to... Or is it just to keep the fear of God in your opponent? Make them think about the things that are possible to come out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Phobies to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Both players can still add to their forces, but we're definitely coming down to it where we're not going to get too many more Phobies coming out unless both players decide to suddenly go to 1 key trading wars. But we do get a push, a build-up here down in the south, because, once again, no Gravedigger. That means that Man in Yellow is not really threatening too much here. No, you're going to get a move and then an attack. You're not going to get a grand repositioning because of a break and then a spider yoink or something like that. So as a result, you're just not threatening as much. That being said, Smiley does need to reclaim a panic point at some stage because eventually, I mean, if nothing changes, they will end up losing. Answer here seems to be Henrietta to resolve that situation. And we're kind of getting into the same sort of thing that it was Smiley versus Shadow Force earlier, where we're getting this big standoff, and neither player can really commit successfully. This is where I think Akira is supposed to exist. While Akira can set up bonkers scenarios, Akira also solves these sort of things, because this means that you end up being able to force your opponent, and not just in a minor way, like you make it happen. They have to interact with you now. And you can do it from anywhere. You don't have to worry as much about the positioning. So I imagine that there is a trap here. There's no way that this was sitting down there that long and didn't trap it. 650 health, so this will also tank a full Poison Ivy hit. Because right now, Man in Yellow doesn't seem to be putting in any effort to tag this Henrietta. There's only a few ways that they could have done it, namely the Noxious. It wouldn't have probably been worth it to commit to the Noxious, because it's most likely going to die on retaliation, and the poison on the spider can be trivially healed. Trivially removed. But we do have, well, I take it back. We do have the button, but we don't have the break available, so you can't necessarily commit and try and snipe this Murder Wing, the combination of these, or I guess it include Hevo as well. So far, so good, Doc. Only event 1 of 3. We still got a long ways ahead of us. We got a long ways ahead of us. So we are still getting the staging in the north. This Hevo has reassumed its position where it's just going to take a quick nap. Going to get a little snoozle action in. I don't really see an obvious advancement for either player, like where they can just commit and do something at this stage. I shaved the whole beard twice. Yep. Now, this seems unnecessary unless you're going to commit in. Like, you don't have to do this. That thing would have died and you were out of range. I guess hypothetically they could retreat it and then muffin or something, but like, is that really going to happen? This is where I think Smiley has been building a incremental advantage over the course of the game because of Gravedigger. It is allowed and is going to continue to allow for things to happen that Man in Yellow can't do because of the positioning that is just simply not available. I mean, the Trapper existing this long is problematic, but realistically, I think this thing has only placed 2 traps, and they've been meaningless. Because it was, one landed on the Electric Cat, it tanked it, and still capped the point. Well, your 1 key was going to die no matter what. Then the second one went down here, and it got the Henrietta, which also was going to die, basically no matter what. So, there might be 1 trap lurking at this point, or getting placed this turn, kind of thing. Long term, yes. Normally I would say, sure, a Trapper sitting here for 1,000,000 years, bad. But I don't know that it matters too much right now, truthfully. So because of the positioning in the north, it does allow the Hevo to kind of bully things, and now we're looking at a 4-to-1 panic point advantage. It won't be for much longer, but anything that caps this point is clearly dead to the innocuous zaps. Plus, the invade, well, not invade, but the subsequent fireball from Snowball here. But the Hevo finally does wake up from its deep, deep slumber, 2 games worth of slumber, and caps the top panic point, and suddenly this is a fair amount of pressure on our blue player. Realistically, this thing's probably going to have to retreat. It's just going to depend on what the follow-up from Man in Yellow is going to be. But this is one of those games similar to what we saw earlier where it's dragging out. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of things that need to be considered and reconsidered and reconsidered, as you've seen from all the takebacks. So what is the answer here? How do you break the stalemate? Is Finnegan really the answer? I mean, there is a world where you can set this up, but Smiley's not going to let that happen. Because I think the game plan is, you know, you yoink Evo to here, you Finnegan, you boop, and voila, there's a dead Hevo. But that ain't going to happen. You could safely retreat in a variety of different avenues because you could break either of these with Gravedigger. I think you break the northmost one, most likely, so that way you don't open yourself up to weird yoinks or boops. And then this Hevo can just guard this panic point. All right, so they're going to break the southern one. That's fine. Get a strong boop there. This ensures that, yep. That's brutal. That's brutal. Gravedigger break really had nothing to do with that, but, I mean, it's setting it up so that there's a cleaner retreat path. The boop into the yoink, those are the plays you love to see. You love to see it. Maybe not if you're our blue player right now, but for those watching at home, looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. Got him. Dad, I'm going to have to start eating snacks on stream because I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to fully eat. And I'm starting to feel a little drained. Starting to feel a little drained. I did eat before the stream, but I didn't get, like, an enormous amount of food. So at this point, Man in Yellow has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 phobies, 8 keys available. I'm not really sure what the game plan is. You can probably kill this spider, but then that still leaves Smiley up 1-0 as far as yoinks go. Still up 1-0 as far as yoinks go. I guess that boop is fine. But yes, Moffat is going to go down. You're trading spiders out, which again, not to belabor the point, but our orange player still has more yoinks. I don't know if that's a collection thing or not, but having more yoinks than your opponent on this map seems pretty relevant. I'm not an expert. But we do have a boimp. A boimp? That's a new one. A boop advantage going to our blue player. Boops are inherently weaker than yoinks, in my opinion. I think in most people's opinion. So we'll see how this plays out. 5 keys still remaining for orange player. 3 for the blue. Get a little bees action. Get a pull here. Is that a dead Noxious? Not quite a dead Noxious unless this snowball commits, which it is. Oh, not like this. Yeah, that was a real fast undo, because that would have been a dead Hevo. There was no need to do that. Instead, we get the jar snipe. Completely safe. Nothing can reach it. Still a panic point advantage also. So while both players, both sides are taking losses, kind of doesn't matter. It kind of doesn't matter. It's still coming out Smiley so far. We will get some retaliation damage if Man in Yellow wants to do it. Evo or whatever. But I don't think this Repeller was the answer they were looking for. The Ginsting is going to need some first aid in short order, but there is an option for a Muffin. We haven't seen a Muffin come out yet. Now, my natural inclination in this board state, as Smiley, would probably be to hole up, play defensively, wait for yoinks to come back, wait for boops, wait for whatever, it doesn't matter. You don't need to commit in. Your opponent has to commit in. They do have more keys, so hypothetically they win a key trading war. But given the yoink and everything, you can set stuff up whenever you're ready. And in fact, Man in Yellow is committing to a cassowary instead of or maybe not. I was going to say instead of multiple 1 keys. Getting the cowbell first. Get a little cowbellage. Truth be told, you could probably just kill this cowbell, though. You have to position it defensively. Because otherwise, this can come in. And I don't think there's any way for them to boop it to kill it. And then the combination of these two snipe it. And all of a sudden, yeah, you take a bunch of damage. You probably even lose the jar for the cowbell. But you're playing for board position at this state. At this stage in the game, you can just take things down. And yeah, it's just... I don't know how Man in Yellow gets out of this. Yeah, they're playing the cowbell defensively. I have to imagine that, yeah, we're just going to see retreats here. I don't see any reason to do much of anything else. There's no advantageous position to go take. I was about to say, yeah, you do, well... There's a play here that I don't know if it's obvious. It may not even be good. Okay. It may still work here. Okay, I was going to say you could advance the repeller and then one of these two was going to end up in this abyss tile. One of them was going to end up in the abyss tile. This is playing with fire with this Gin Sting. I mean, it was not going to, like, you can see the math. It was going to get down to this point. The Hevo could hypothetically come in here, but then it gets yoinked. It gets double hit. It ends up here, so then it gets hit with a Gin Sting, which could still get healed. And then it can't get hit with this, though. Or the jar, for that matter. So it wouldn't be a dead Hevo. 14... 17. Actually, it would. It would absolutely be a dead Hevo. Ted is the penultimate phobie from Man in Yellow. And I think we're just watching the slow demise at this stage. A little boop action. I don't think there's any way to... Oh, I see. You can't get a kill on it, but it does displace it. The problem is this displace... It should just send it straight back. It should not kill it. Alright, Gin Sting doesn't even need a muffin, just goes to the healing spa here. Definitely makes sense. And presumably that's why... there was the intent to try and boop these things. That way it can't just slide back in and kill it. Although, to be honest, I would say bait the Hevo coming in. Be like, alright, come kill my Gin Sting. Put the jar here. Have this in position. Although they could just, they could boop. You just want a fireball anyway. But yeah, just maybe move the Octonauty here. It's like, yeah, please come after my Gin Sting. For anybody just joining us, I see the viewer numbers ticking up as we've been going along. In the finals for event number 1, we will be starting event number 2 in, give or take, 20 minutes. Hopefully, I'll have another opportunity to pee before that. I got pings in Discord. Let's see if people are getting confused again. We'll ping everybody. Yeah, little Jill and Ted Lovebird action. What's the name of their ability? Newly Deads. Newly Deads. So Panic Point Advantage is now blue. It won't be for very long. And I don't think it's really going to matter. It's not going to require too much effort in order to actually reclaim this. Smiley, of course, still has keys remaining, although they are maxed out on Phobies. I think Smiley could have positioned a little more aggressively in a variety of different ways. Down goes Cowbell. What is reclaiming this point? I figured it would be Snowball, but the thing is, there is a boop into... Oh, no, there isn't. This can't reach. I was going to say, yeah, because you'll go up, you boop this down, and then this swings around, and you can kill the Snowball. Is that worth it? I don't know. This is a significant break now, because it, of course, does allow for the Inoculus to target the center tile. I'm a little surprised it didn't happen sooner, but, I mean, whatever. We're going to get the mirror match up here with the Hevos beating on each other a little bit. But we did get the positioning here so that now the jar is in range. Obviously, Octonauty will threaten the Hevo if it decides to go after this jar. Because whichever tile it goes to, in order to hit the jar, the Octonauty says, hey, come at me, bro. No, the events are completely independent, Onda. So once event 1 is done, they're done for the day. So just getting some repositioning. Obviously, we'll get a free fireball going on down here if desired. We're still in the position where I just don't see how Man in Yellow makes something happen here unless Smiley decides to, like, shove everything into Man in Yellow's team and be like, all right, I offer up my entire team as sacrifice. I volunteer as tribute. And by me, I mean all of us. I doubt we're going to see another 4-to-1 panic point advantage because there's really no reason to do that if you are... I don't know about this one, Smiley. I don't know about this one, Smiley. The reason I don't know about this is I think this is a dead jar, quote-unquote, for free. And while there's damage going down, it's still 3,600 health. There's ways to make this viable. Even assuming that happens, I don't think that it's all that bad. So I think Smiley noticed the play also, the potential for that, because now this jar should get scooted back onto the stem. Possibly. Give Finnegan a Nerf gun? What, so we can, like, actively nerf things while it's in game? So there's the boop. As mentioned, the position of the Inoculus would have prevented this from sliding backwards previously, so I think it would have ended up in the pit. Would that have really made a major difference? I'm not sure. Probably not, but obviously it's not even an option. So you do have to give props to Man in Yellow. This is what I'm calling an unwinnable position. It's not truly unwinnable. Like, there's literally no moves to make. There's literally no mistakes that Smiley can make, but it is absolutely not a good spot to be in. So we get props because they're staying in it. I don't think this is how you want to do it, though. This is probably a dead Hevo, right? Like, you can just boop this thing to death. Granted, it would end up trading Hevos, but honestly, that probably favors Smiley. No, it doesn't. Ah. It doesn't get it. Like I said, what would have happened is you move this here, you move Finnegan, you boop into this position, and then you boop with the repeller, and that absolutely would have ended up in the pit. At least I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's any way that Finnegan boops it here. Maybe it does, actually. Maybe Finnegan would have booped it to the side instead of up. Chad, I'm gonna have to start eating snacks on stream, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be munching some pretzels. I need some blood sugar, chat. I can feel it. It's gonna get worse if I don't start eating something soon. I'm gonna get way more loopy and feel way, way weaker. I might just turn off my camera so that way people don't have to watch me chew. Honestly, this series, it isn't because this series went long. It's because the earlier series had that long-ass game on this map, and this map is also dragging it out as well. But believe it or not, if Man in Yellow manages to stage the comeback, there will be another game. There will be a Game 3 for this series. So we're getting some repositioning. Sorry, I'm answering some questions in Discord for getting event number 2 up and running. Since it's a one-man operation, trying to wear all the hats. All the hats, trying to do the tournament admin, trying to do the commentating, trying to answer questions. Don't have a team behind it, although we do have, of course, the Phobie team supporting this, adding prizes. Shout out to the Phobies team. I am, of course, content affiliate. I mentioned a few times before. They send me coffee and this sweet hoodie. Got that for Fright Night number 4. Or 3, rather. This is number 4, excuse me. So we are seeing some aggression going down. Getting the break here. We're going to get a... Yeah, you probably don't want to dick around with worrying about whether the fire does it. But we do get a little bees. Gotta love them bees. The first super funny thing, I think, that I had in Phobies. Wait, is this Boop? Ah! It's not the Boop we hoped for. Oh my god! Smiley! Smiley, you master. Yeah, it's the Boop. I mean, it's going to ultimately result in the Boop trade here. But, I mean... oh my god. Who was talking about the traps earlier? Who was talking about the traps earlier? Because that was savage. Triple trap action. Get the counter Boop. It's funny to me when they fall in the abyss how small they get. I mean, obviously, we all understand why it works like that and looks like that, but it's still funny. It still amuses me. 4-1 panic point advantage, 2200 health. There's going to be a jar beating up this heart. Octonaughty, I guess, could retreat here and live. This is going to die to Inoculus. The Jin Sting could even take this spa. The traps were cute. Ultimately unnecessary. Kind of like this. I don't think this is necessary to do it this way, Smiley. But I don't know that it matters. I think Smiley's figuring it out. Didn't have to move, but whatever. Did that thing have enough? No, it should have died to just 2 hits from here. Like, you can just zap it. Twist it. Spin it. Pop it. Zap it. I don't know. This is what happens when I haven't eaten in a while, chat. It's gonna get weird. It's gonna get weird, chat. Shout out to everybody watching. We were talking about the content affiliate and thank you to the Phobies team, but shout out to all the other content creators that are also running events. If you're not aware, I'm not the only one. But if you want to get in on Fright Night in the future, because I plan on running more Fright Nights, I'm hoping the next one will be planned for the beginning of March 2023. Then hit up the links below. Exclamation point Discord if you're watching this live. If you're watching this on YouTube, check the links in the description, hence below. And you can get in on the next Fright Night. I'm going through the whole spiel because I think we can all see where this is going. I think we can all see the writing on the wall at this stage. Ball game, Smiley. GG. We have our first winner of the day. Well done, Smiley. Game. Congratulations to all our competitors. Congratulations. We're going to update our bracket here real quick so that it is official. This is how we make it official. But well done. Well done. I'll be reaching out to Smiley and Man in Yellow. Yes, there are prizes for first and second place. 2,000 coffee to first, 1,000 coffee to second.